Yeah, bro. But I'm really excited to have you on, bro.
Yeah, glad to be here.
I was looking at all your footage and everything, and especially your podcast. I really enjoyed the podcast. Like the one I was watching was Ted Cruz.
Oh yeah.
Is that Nate Cruz?
Yeah,
Nate Cruz.
Did you see So you saw like a couple of the clips that we have on my thing?
Yeah,
I'm gonna put out another one this week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what's that one gonna be?
Same one. Same.
Yeah.
So I have an editor. He has all my stuff, so he's chopping that one up, and then he'll start chopping up the next ones.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. So that same time when I did that one with Nate, I did 5 other episodes of my own podcast.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Really? Well, wait. So how are you doing?
Recording already?
Yeah, everything's live. I like to do it just like have everything come in ready. So because I found like sometimes some guests they get a little like uncomfortable. Like if I'm doing like the live, like okay, you guys ready? All right, let's go. You know what I mean? And then have the camera and they're like, okay, you know what I mean? That's what I was telling you. Like, it's like, I like to just have like a chill environment. You know what I mean? When I come in, like some people, the reason I was asking, what do you like to drink? Cause like sometimes some people like, oh, I like Coors Light or whatever. And then I'll just provide them,
I love it.
With whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's dope. I like that idea.
Yeah. So, okay. So you're editor. Wait, so how does that work for you? Like you're like having your editor and stuff like that. Where did you find them?
So great question. So actually, I'm a firm believer like in business, right? When we talk about business, the way you move your business forward is by constantly asking. Give value, ask. Give value, ask. Right?
Yeah.
So my editor is actually this young man in India. And he actually hit me up on Instagram and was like, hey, man.
No way.
If I, did a couple videos for you, and you like them, would you be willing to hire me to do more videos for you?
Yeah.
So let me see what you got. So I sent him like 4 or 5 videos and he did them. I was like, all right, this is cool. And he gave me a really good price. And so now I've been working with him for like about a year now.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so not all my videos are edited by him. Sometimes I have like this moment where I'm like, oh, I want to make this video. And I just make it myself and throw it on captions and then boom, run it up, And sometimes those hit really well. They're not like super, but when I'm like really think out my content and like how I want to bring value to other people. Or for example, for these podcasts that I've been doing, like the more podcasts I'm getting, that's why I said if I could get the footage, right? Because then I can create content around it. Right, and then I can get it into my audience and then push people to other people's pages, right? Yeah, I'm a firm believer that like collaboration is how we grow.
Yeah, literally, especially like word of mouth. You know what I mean? Like just talking to people, especially with what we do, bro. Like we're interacting with people so much, you know. And our Instagram is basically like our resume.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Okay, so another thing I was kind of like wanted to give you flowers on, bro. You push out so much content, bro. It's insane. It's fucking insane, bro. So I was kind of curious, do you have like a scheduling like format? Like you're like, okay, like this week I want to make X amount of videos, or are you kind of just posting sporadically as you go?
So I kind of have a general idea, right? But then I make adjustments over time. And what I mean by that is like I look at what the audience is looking for. Yeah. Right. So I have conversation. I post something like, let's say for example, I'll use this last 2 weeks as an example. Yeah. My nutrition videos, the things of me like making stuff, have been hitting a lot harder. Okay. So I've been pumping out more nutrition stuff because for whatever reason, my audience right now is like, show us nutrition stuff. Okay. Or I'm having conversations with people in the DMs and they're like, oh, I wish you'd make like more like shopping videos, or boom, I threw out that shopping video. Yeah. A lot of these videos have been, some of the videos I'm recently doing, I've already created those and put those out months ago, right? Got it. People are like, oh man, I really like shopping videos. Or what should I buy? People ask me questions. They send me DMs like, hey, Coach Paul, what would I buy if I went to Safeway if I'm on a weight loss journey? Well, I have a video on that. You're like, so, well, perfect. Yeah, I posted it, 6 months ago. Am I going to go tell them to go scroll through all my content and find it? Or just going to post it again? I'll post it again. Valid, yeah. That makes sense. Sometimes I'll even tag people if I remember who it was specifically that asked me. I'll go tag them in it. Like, here, boom. Oh, that's cool. Because I want to give value, right? Yeah. Like, online coaching and motivational speaking and this podcasting and all this stuff that I'm doing, like, that's how I make my money. That's how I survive, right? That's how I pay my bills, take care of my kids, all this important stuff, right? Yeah. But the bigger purpose is impact. Right? Yeah, 100%. So if I can create content that brings value and maybe one person pays me to be their coach, maybe they don't. Oh, well, I've got enough clients to survive, right? Yeah. I'm not doing bad, but I know I'll progressively create more impact and help more people. Yeah, that's badass, bro, especially because like I feel for me anyways, like if you're not doing what you really love in terms of content and like providing value and stuff like that, I feel like you get burnt out of it. You know what I mean? Because it's like
you can't ride trends. You know what I mean? You have to really find yourself in your creator journey. Because I know for me, bro, this past year I grew so much with my page, and then like just figuring out who I am as a creator.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I feel like that for me was what's really been hard. You know what I mean? Just finding like, okay, do I niche down or do I not niche down? You know, because like originally, I don't know why you started. We can get into that right now, but like why you started your pod. I know for me, my biggest thing was I wanted to get paid to learn, but I didn't know how.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So one of my biggest inspirations is Joe Rogan, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So I love that he admits that he knows a lot in specific realms, you know, but he doesn't know a lot in terms of the grand scheme of things. He gets like scientists, doctors on, and he just there, like he wants to learn anything, any and everything, you know, and then he's getting paid for it.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I think that's this is like the way to go for me, you know. And then I've tried it, but then I feel like the route I went is just a little more difficult, you know what I mean, like getting a team and doing everything like that. Because I was also curious for you, like, you know how you have your editor, do you do any editing yourself or no?
Sometimes.
Yeah. What do you edit on?
So I mean I keep it simple. I edit, like I use InShot, I use captions, or I use CapCut sometimes if I want a quick edit.
Yeah.
But like InShot, I can take a couple videos, put them together. You know, usually time when I edit videos myself, it's like if I hear like a sound that I really like.
Okay.
You know, for example, like I think about a week and a half ago, I posted a video and it was something Andy Elliott was saying, and I really liked what he was saying. Right? So I took what he was saying, right, and I uploaded it. I basically it's a crazy trip.
Yeah.
You screen record whatever it is you're listening to. So you screen record it, right? Whatever person's reel, TikTok, whatever.
Yeah.
So now you have the sound, and it doesn't matter what the video is.
Yeah.
And I pull that sound onto InShot, and then I pull a video of myself working out or some sort of B-roll.
Yeah.
Right? And then I pull the audio out, and I get rid of the video, and I overlay it. Really simple to do on InShot.
Okay.
So now I have Andy Elliott talking over me doing burpees or something. Okay. Well, actually, I think the one was me punching the bag.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's Andy Elliott talking, and then I download that to my phone, and then I take it to the captions app and throw captions on it.
Yeah.
So now it's not just the sound of Andy Elliott saying something positive and productive, right?
Yeah.
And he was talking about fitness and how you take care of your fitness, you're going to take care of other things in your life as well, you know? And so then I put captions on it. So now when someone looks at it, they hear Andy Elliott, but maybe they don't listen to it. So the volume's off. Well, then they see the words of the positive messages that he's giving about fitness. And then they see me, the person, punching the bag or doing burpees.
Yeah.
Right? So now I can get those different senses. You're able to read it. You're able to hear it. You're able to see the activity of me exercising. You know, I made it mine.
Yeah.
As opposed to like so many other people, they're like, oh, this is a trending sound. I'm going to use this sound on my stuff. Okay, cool. Yeah. But how do you make it yours, and how do you touch more people with it?
I like that, bro. I like that. Wait, so how has this all been for you? Like the whole content journey, like learning about all the captions and learning about all of that. How has this experience been for you?
It's been fun and frustrating. Right? So we'll start with the frustrating part, right?
Yeah.
I did 10 years in prison.
Yeah.
Okay. So I did 10 years in prison. So when I got out and got my first flat touchscreen phone, I didn't know what the hell to do with this thing.
Yeah.
I was like, what is all this, right?
Yeah.
So up until I really started diving deeper into my content, maybe about a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I used my phone and I created content, you know, like I've been creating content, but I wasn't like learning how to create more content. I was keeping it very simple because I didn't want to spend a bunch of time on my phone, right? I was like kind of afraid of my phone still, right?
Interesting.
Because, like I was gone for 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, during those 10 years, like once in a blue moon, I was at fire camp. We had access to cell phones illegally, right? So I used them, you know, but not like I'm creating content. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, and all this stuff.
You're not making reels in prison.
Yeah, you know, I wasn't doing all that. So learning how to use a phone and using it for a specific reason was frustrating so much, right?
Yeah.
But then I overcame this self-limiting belief. And I hear this self-limiting belief. A lot of people say, oh, I'm not good with technology. That's a choice. Right?
Yeah.
I wasn't good with technology until I became good with technology.
Type shit. Yeah.
I literally had like a legit reason why. It wasn't like I wasn't good at technology. It was like I had never used technology for a decade.
Yeah.
You know? People
what year did you get out?
I got out in 2018.
In 2018? So like 08 is when you went in, huh?
Yeah, I went in 07.
07?
Oh no, 08, yeah, 08.
Around there?
Yeah.
Because I like, if that's cool, I wanted to like dive into all of that. If
absolutely, we talk about all that. It's
cool.
An open book, man.
So, since we're talking about like you getting out with the content and everything, like, so 10 years incarcerated, right? Mm-hmm. How was that transition coming out for you? Was it scary? Was it like, walk me through that? Like when you first got out, your first week, your first couple days.
Let me rewind just a little bit.
Sure.
Okay. So I did 10 years in prison, right?
Yeah.
I was 22 when I got arrested for a crime that I committed. I was 23 when I got sentenced. I was looking at 27 years in prison. I got 10.
Okay.
I stayed in trouble while I was in there. It didn't completely change my life immediately. It took a long time for me to shift my mindset.
Yeah.
And because of that, I extended my stay a little bit longer. So I was supposed to get out in 2017, and I didn't get out in 2017 because of my behavior, and I got out a year later in 2018. Okay? But 2017, I was supposed to get out August 1st, 2017, I was supposed to get out of prison. And I didn't because of my behavior. I'd gotten in fights, got caught with drugs, all kinds of different things. I used drugs for a couple more weeks. It wasn't a fog, and I came out that fog, looked myself in the mirror, and it looked like death. And I was like, bro, I'm done. Like this is out. So I reached out to my friend Fernando, who wasn't my friend at the time, but now he's my really good friend.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, I need your help. And he helped me.
Yeah.
And he showed me the way. So my last year in prison, I completely transformed my life. And I focused on personal development. That's why I pushed this so hard for all my clients or anyone in my life. Like so August 30th, I made a conscious decision. I never wanted to use drugs or alcohol again. And I've been clean and sober for 6.5 years now.
Good for you, bro.
August 29th to August 30th, nothing changed but my mindset. I was still in prison. My mom was still dead. My wife had still left me. I still hated myself. Like nothing changed in that one day.
Yeah.
But my mindset. So when so many people think that they can't change, they have this self-limiting belief, like just like the phone, right? I'm not good with technology, right? Or I'm not good with women, or I can't work out, or I can't get up early, or whatever self-limiting beliefs we all have. Trust me, I've had plenty of them, right? But those self-limiting beliefs are stopping us from moving forward when all it takes is for you to believe in yourself. That little tiny shift. And the reason why I say that is because that transfers into everything I do today. Those little shifts in mindset. How can we look at things differently?
Yeah.
You know? So that last year, I really focused entirely on becoming the best version of myself. It's why both my businesses, A Better You Fitness and Becoming a Better You Motivational Speaking. It's all about better you. That's the key. The key phrase is a better you.
Yeah.
You know, I've got shirts that say a better you on them. Like it's all about a better you. Okay. So I spent that last year before I got out becoming a better me. And I read books, magazines, took notes, got rid of my TV so I didn't have no distractions. I exercised regularly. I went to the library. I checked out business books on how to write a business plan, all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So now to your question. I know how to give you a little.
No, you're good. We can dive into all of this, bro. Yeah.
But with your question about that first week out, I came out prepared.
Yeah.
I came out prepared to do something different.
Yeah.
I started getting incarcerated when I was 15. So from 15 to 33, I've spent almost 20 years incarcerated. Yeah. Right? So that's not almost 20 years, like 14, 15 years, like, you know?
A little under half your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So during that time right there, incarceration became normal. But I would get out and go back to the same stuff. Or I'd get out and think I couldn't go back to live a good life. Yeah. This time it was different. This time I came out and was like, nope. I'm completely changing everything. I'm doing everything different. And because of that, it's given me the momentum to get to where I'm at today. Yeah. So my first few days out of prison, I got out and I was like hesitant, right? I was gone for 10 years. I didn't know how to function in society. Yeah. Right? But I was blessed to be put into a drug program when I got out in Hayward, California. And that drug program right there gave me a platform for me to build a foundation. Right. So first 30 days, I couldn't have a cell phone. So I didn't have to worry about that. I used a payphone, right? First 30 days, if I needed to go anywhere, I had to go with somebody else. So I always had someone, if I took a bus or BART or even walked anywhere, there was another person from the house. We had like a buddy system. Yeah. After those 30 days, okay, I'm kind of adjusting to society, right? So then I get a cell phone. I can start playing on a cell phone. And I got the little Obama phone for free. Yeah. So it sucked, but it did the job, you know? Like,
yeah, it was something.
Yeah, you know? And I started learning how to use a touch screen and this and that, you know? And it progressively added on top of that. Yeah. You know? So that first week out was all about just learning how to adjust. You know? Just learning how to adjust. But I was given an opportunity to build a foundation in that drug program, which really helped me out. Yeah. So like when you talked about like having a buddy, was that like someone to just hold you accountable to like watch you and stuff like that, or was it kind of just like one of your friends like that was in that house? So you had to go somewhere with someone from the house.
Oh, okay.
It was usually one of the other guys.
Okay.
And it was usually like a senior guy. So like it's a 90-day program.
Yeah.
So people first getting out would go with someone that's been there for like 50 or 60 days or 70 days. You know, they've been there for a while, so they've already they have a cell phone. They have, you know, like, so if something happens, they have a phone to call the staff or whatever needs to happen, you know. But you have that level of accountability, but also that level of support. So someone like me, like, it's been, 10 years since I rode the bus. I don't even think I was riding the bus before I went to prison. I was using cars. So, so like, how long has it really been since I've ridden the bus? Never really been on BART, you know, like all these things were new to me, right? So I needed someone to be like, all right, we're going to scan this ticket, and everything's changed too. You know, technology is crazy after 10 years. So, you know, like, oh, you got to go get your ticket from this machine. It's no longer like, you know, whatever it used to be. I don't remember, you know, but like, it's a whole different atmosphere.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious too. So like, I found it really interesting in your pod that you were talking to him about, right? You were talking about, so me included too. When I see your content, you were talking about like, for women, right? For moms, and I found it interesting how you're like, I got tired of seeing men and stuff like that. So, just throughout your life or just in prison, that's why you felt like, okay, this is why I kind of want to just focus on women, because I like what you said about like fixing the household and like the moms and stuff like that. So growing up, was it strictly mostly like a woman household for like your mom, or?
No, so like growing up, like my mom struggled with drug and alcohol abuse. Yeah. Right. And so my parents, my dad was verbally and physically abusive. Yeah. And they split ways when I was like 12 or 13. Okay. And my mom was stuck in her drug addiction. She was homeless, running the streets, doing whatever she was doing. And then we lived with our dad. It was me and my younger brother, right? Oh, okay. So it was a very dominant, angry, violent household. Like I was taught at a young age, like you deal with things with your hands. You hit people, you throw things, you break things, you punch walls. Like that's how I was taught by my dad, how he dealt with things as men, right? Yeah. So it was actually the opposite. I was raised in a very masculine, dominant male household where I'm the man, and he was my dad, so he was the man, but he was also my dad, so he's in charge. You do what he says. You know, I'll give you something to cry about. That type of household, you know. Okay. So it wasn't until I was about 15 that we moved back in with my mom. But by then I was already addicted to drugs myself and already hanging out with the wrong crowd. So it was like she made an attempt to give us the best life because she had gotten her life together. But I was already dipping my toes into that criminal lifestyle by then. So it was kind of like, it was kind of tough. We were living in Arizona with my dad, and then we came to San Jose with my mom, and lived in a predominantly Black and Hispanic neighborhood. We're a white family. I'm a white kid, you know, but predominantly Hispanic in my neighborhood. So I started hanging out with the Hispanics and started doing what they were doing. Yeah. So that's how you kind of wait. So when you were in Arizona or San Jose, that's when you started to get in, like dabble into like getting trouble in drugs. San Jose. Yeah. In Arizona, I was like smoking a little bit of weed and drinking, and like I got in a few fights at school, like, but nothing too crazy. Yeah. When I got to San Jose, it was like full on, like all out. Oh, when was that? Like what year was that? I don't remember what year it was. Like the 90s, 80s? See. Because you're like 35, 36? I'm 38 right now. 38? So I was born in 85 and I was about 14, so about like late 90s. Yeah. Around there. 98, 99, something like that. Yeah. Oh, damn, man. So I'm kind of curious then. Do you feel personally, because of what you like witnessed with your mom and like with your dad, that's why you started to dabble into like the drugs? Or so actually it's interesting. It was the opposite, right? So when I lived in Arizona, I was against drugs. It destroyed my household. Okay. So I live in Arizona and I don't fit in with anybody because we moved from California to Arizona, right? I was like, right before 6th grade in California, I lived in Fremont. Mm-hmm. Right before 6th grade, I was finally going to be the big kid on campus. Yeah. You know, we moved to Arizona where they have middle schools. So now it's 6, 7, 8 is middle school. So now I'm the lower end of the totem pole. I'm the new kid, right? So I come into this new school. All these other kids have been going to school with each other, you know, so I'm this, and I got to try to fit in. So I actually start getting with these skaters, right? And I start hanging out with these skater group, but they smoked weed and they drank, and I was against it, right? And so I was always like, guys, you guys should stop smoking weed. It's bad for you. Like, it ruined my mom's life and this and that. And so, like, this is the first time I kind of got in trouble at school. Is we were having a conversation, me and like the leader of the skater group. We're talking. And he was like, hey, man, we're tired of you telling us not to smoke weed and drink, and you can't hang out with us. And he's like, you're kicked out of our group. And as soon as he said that, another dude from behind came up and kicked me, like literally kicked me.
Oh shit!
So they kicked me out, and then they kicked me out. You know,
fuckers, bro. Damn.
So I chased him down, and I got on him.
Yeah, you ran that fade. Yeah,
yeah. I was like, I tripped him, and I just got on top of him, and just went. You know,
yeah.
I went ham on him, and you know, they pulled me off of him and everything, and I ended up going to the principal's office, and I get suspended. So my dad picks me up, and I'm scared because, you know, my dad used to slap me around and spank me and throw me around.
And this was in AZ, right?
It's just Arizona.
Okay, yeah.
So my dad comes and picks me up. So I get in the car. I'm driving home. I'm just in the corner, like cowering, like spook, like
I feel you, bro.
Ass when I get home, you know?
No, I feel that, bro. Yeah.
So he looks over at me. And he's all quiet for a moment. And he's just like, "So did you win?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Good. You're still grounded, but good."
Yeah.
You know? So that was kind of like a weird moment, like, oh shit, my dad was kind of proud of me. Right?
Yeah.
And I understand now, I stood up for myself, you know, but in my head I was like, oh, that's how I get my dad's recognition. So it kind of became a thing. Where like fighting kind of became a thing for me. You know?
Shit.
But then I went to high school, and when I went to high school, once again trying to fit in, and they were smoking weed and they were drinking, and I was like, let me just try it one time. And then before you know it, I was smoking weed, I was drinking, I was doing acid, I was doing shrooms, all this stuff, right? So,
fuck.
But it wasn't like super bad. Like the friends I hung out with, they had the cool mom that would like let us drink and smoke weed at her house. Like, call my dad, like, hey, is it cool if Paul stays the night here tonight? Yeah, cool. All right, your dad said cool. Let's get some beers out and like just let us like we'd like hang out, drink, and like it was cool, you know?
Yeah.
So I wasn't like running the streets doing drugs until I got to California. And so my mom's clean and sober, so my mom's we can't drink and smoke weed in her house.
Yeah.
So where we got to go? Other people's houses. But the other people I was hanging out with were involved in like gangs and criminal activity. So I go hang out with them. Like, we're going to go smoke weed, and we're going to go drink, and then we're going to go tag, or we're going to go like steal some shit, or we're going to go like beat some people up. And I'm like, all right, cool. And then it's just transitioning.
It was like a snowball effect kind of then, huh?
Yeah.
So then, cause like I know for me, right, I was kind of like, I was curious because my family, right, some of them are in gangs and stuff like that. And what I always begged the question was like, when you, because sometimes you have a broken household, right? And then like, I've heard a lot of times like saying, you get in a gang, right? And then they're like, oh, well, I have like this sense of belonging, and then like the sense of brotherhood and the sense of family, right? But then there's other times where I see people that come from good families, and then they're still in gangs, you know? So my question to you is, right, do you really feel like it's a choice, or do you feel like you're born into that, like the gang lifestyle and stuff like that? Not saying you're in a gang or anything, but just like having a conversation, you know what I mean?
I think it could be a little bit of both.
You think so?
Yeah, I think it could be a little bit of both, right? Because I know a lot of friends that are born into it. I have a lot of friends that's just how they were raised. Like, their dads are in gangs, their uncles are in, like, it's all they know. You know, so a lot of people I grew up with, that's all I knew. Me, nobody else in my family's in a gang, but I joined a gang, right? Like, like my brother's not in a gang. My mom wasn't a gang member. My stepdad didn't, like, nobody in my household showed me this lifestyle. I went outside the household and found this lifestyle. But honestly, I found the lifestyle while incarcerated, right? And, you know, like, I hung out with people that had gang affiliation in my neighborhood, but it wasn't like, oh, you're in a gang, I'm going to hang out with you. I was like, you have drugs, you have drugs, you have drugs. These are skaters, these are gang members, these are video gamers, whatever. You know, like, didn't care. We were just doing drugs together. But then when I started going to juvenile hall, and I started, like, clicking up with different people and getting cellies. A cellie is like a cellmate, the people you know in your cell. And I ended up in a cell with a gang member, and then something like this situation happened where like they popped off a riot, and I seen a bunch of these, you know, these guys take off on the rival gang, and I was like, oh, that's cool how they did that. Like, I like admired the how they all had each other's back. Like, I admired that, and I was like, oh man,
was this in juvie or was this in
juvenile hall? Yeah.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
So you were probably like, how old are you? Probably like 16, 17?
15, 16, yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I started going to juvenile hall when I was 15.
Damn. Well, wait. So what did you do to get in the when you were 15, 16?
Yeah. So when I was 15 years old, I was using drugs, and I was using meth. That was my drug of choice at the time.
Oh damn.
And so I was smoking meth, and I was, you know, just crazy. I was crazy. When you do meth, you don't sleep. So I was up for a couple days at a time, and I was just like just off the chain.
Yeah.
And so I would like spaz out on my family and have psychotic episodes. And one night, I hit my brother. I punched my brother. And I was like saying I was going to kill everybody, and like just crazy. And my mom called the police on me. And so the police came and they took me away, and then they put me on house arrest. I was in juvenile. They took me to juvenile hall. I was there for about a week. Then they put me on house arrest, maybe 2 weeks. Put me on house arrest. I got out, running around, still doing the same things. I ended up getting violated. They cut off my bracelet and took me to juvenile hall. Now I sat there for 6 months.
Oh shit!
Sat there for 6 months waiting to get into a home for at-risk youth.
Yeah.
And so when I sat there for 6 months, that's where all this stuff started to come about.
It went like downhill.
Yeah, and I didn't really like join a gang at that point in time, but I started to see the different options. Like, you know, and I had kind of a weird dynamic, right? Because I'm a white kid. My mom's white. My dad's white. My stepdad's black, right? And he raised me, right?
Okay.
And I grew up in a Hispanic neighborhood. Right? Like my neighborhood was Hispanic. Like there was a few black families, but there was no white kids. You know, everyone I hung out with was Mexican.
Yeah.
Right? And most of them, not all of them, but most of them had gang ties from their family. And that's why I said like it's kind of different because I didn't grow up in a gang household, but I went to people's houses where their dad and their uncle and everyone, even their moms are tatted up in the prison, like they're gang members. Like that's just been a thing. So you grow up in a household like that, you're born into it. Like there's, you know, it's kind of hard to escape that. And I know people that have escaped it too, you know, but it's kind of difficult, you know? So I think there's kind of there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of different ideas. You know, there's this idea of nurture and nature. You know, we have things within our nature that we're born with, you know, but then we also have things that are nurtured or taught to us, you know?
Yeah. I always found it interesting, like my viewpoint on gangs, right? Because I've always found it interesting that, like, they don't want their kids in it, you know, or like their family, like, oh, like, don't do this, don't do that. But then on the other hand, sometimes they're like, oh, this is family. And then you kind of get tied into it, like how you're saying, you know. And then another thing too, like now that we're on Hispanics, right? I always found it interesting how, especially like in here where like growing up in Los Banos, there was like gang ties and stuff like that. And then I find it interesting because originally, right, to my knowledge, like the Latino gangs were made to protect each other, right? From like other people and stuff like that. But then 30, 40 years down the road, you kind of steered away from that and you're like killing your own kind, you know, and like messing with like vendors and stuff like that. Or it's like, bro, I feel like you guys lost the initial tie, like, and the reason like you guys were even doing this, you know what I mean?
I think that's our society in whole, though. I think that's not just a gang thing. I think that's just the direction a lot of our society has gone towards, which is why I'm so aggressive in my pursuit to bring change to our society through my story and through what I do.
Yeah.
Right? Because if we look at it, right, society as a whole has become very selfish. Very selfish. So everyone cares about only themselves. So even when we talk about, like you're mentioning gangs, right? Okay, a Hispanic gang stealing from a street vendor that's Hispanic, but it's not that the gang is doing it. It's that selfish human being is doing it. You know, it doesn't matter what gang they may or may not be from. It's more of a selfish, like, I want what they have. I'm going to go take it. Yeah. I don't care that it's probably one of my homeboys' uncles or something, like, and that happens all the time. That type of stuff happens. But if we look at like kind of the society in a whole, we've come to a society where like a lot of people are very selfish. It's, I want what I want, and I don't care about how it affects anyone else. Yeah. So I think that's kind of the direction that our society has gone into, and something that like needs to be monitored pretty close, because man, a lot of people are super selfish. And the thing is too, like,
why do you think that is though? Like,
you know what? I don't know. I know why I was selfish. I didn't, you know, I know I was selfish at one point in time because I didn't care about anyone but myself, because I felt like nobody else cared about me, you know? But I also think there's a lot of people that don't realize they're selfish, right? Or don't realize that what they're doing is selfish. Okay, so I'll use parents as an example, because I work with moms, and some of my clients are dads. I do have some male clients. I don't say, oh, you're a man, I won't work with you. It's just like I want to affect the youth and help the youth. So if I know you're a parent and you're making unhealthy choices, we think, and I did this in my drug addiction, so I get it. We think, oh, I'm just eating these cheeseburgers and watching Netflix, and it just affects me. I look at myself in the mirror and I don't like the person I see because I'm overweight or whatever reason. But you're showing that to your kids. So you're selfishly engaging in activities for yourself. Yeah. Oh, I want to watch TV and eat cheeseburgers, and you know, nothing wrong with cheeseburger from time to time, you know?
Sure.
But like, it's about moderation. But you're also affecting your kids. You know, no kid, I mean, yeah, some babies are born a little bit chubby, but no kid is born obese. Doesn't happen. That's not an accidental thing. That's not a hereditary thing. That's a habit that's passed down from a parental figure.
Yeah.
You know? So if we look at that, you know, that was very selfish, you know, and I'll use this, you know, same thing with drugs, right? If I have kids and they see me using drugs, they're going to think drugs are okay. Even though we know drugs are bad. And school tells them drugs are bad. And I can even tell them drugs are bad. But if I'm using drugs, they'd see that. They're probably going to end up wanting to go use drugs or end up doing it, right? So I'm thinking I'm only hurting myself, but I'm selfishly using something for my benefit that's affecting someone else. You know? And so I think there's a lot of people that just they haven't done enough internal work on themselves to realize that their activities and actions towards themselves affect those around them, and therefore it's a selfish act.
Yeah, because I know, like if I like to just be honest, you know, like I know for me personally, the battle that I've been fighting with, bro, has been like being self-aware, but not being self-aware enough to make a specific change. Like, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like,
tell me more. What do you mean?
So like, for example, my mom and my dad, right? They're very dominant figures and like pillars of strength within their own realms of family, right?
Okay.
My mom did pass like 4 years ago almost, right? But she was like a pillar of strength. But it kind of bit me in the ass because she would always tell me like, you know what, you don't always have to be strong, right? You like, because sometimes being strong makes you lonely, you know what I mean? Because you're taking on the burden of others, right? And vice versa with my dad. And then my dad being like, oh, you have to be strong, right? So then they were very quick to like call me on this, like, well, what about this? What about that? Like just lying, you know, as a little kid, just lying, trying to get your way out of trouble. Yeah. So I know for me, the battle I fight with myself constantly, bro, is like arguing with myself so no one else can call me on my shit. You know, meaning like my mom always told me like you always have to be a couple steps ahead of everybody, you know? So then instilling that in my head, I'm like, let's say I did something wrong. I'm like, okay, well, one could argue about this and that. Like just trying to cut all the holes before someone tells me, right? Yeah. But then where I struggle is like, okay, I know I need to do X, Y, and Z, right? These are the answers to my problems. So, you know, like I need to go to the gym more. If I'm upset about my weight, well, fucking go to the gym. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or like job. Okay, well, I know I need money, but I don't want to do this. I want to pursue the passion of this. But then I know if I need immediate money, I need to do this job. You know, so I feel like the thing that I've been struggling with the past like year and a half, bro, has been really just trying to be like, okay, like when is enough, you know, without hitting rock bottom, you know? Like I feel like it's been really hard because I don't know. Because then I look at other people, right? And I'm like, I haven't really hit rock bottom, you know? Like there's other people that are going through way worse things than I am, you know? But doesn't mean that my rock bottom is different than someone else's, you know what I mean? From what I was used to, this is like rock bottom, hypothetically speaking. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's been really hard for me like this past year, you know?
Well, I'll say like a few things. First off, everyone's rock bottom is different. Yeah. Right. What's hard for you might be easy for someone else. What's easy for them, for you, might be hard for someone else. Like being able to find that and help people, like what I like to do with my clients is help them figure out like where they're at, where they want to go, and if it's important enough for them to push harder, or are they like, this is a statement I make to people all the time. People get in my DMs all the time and ask me about fitness coaching and ask me about weight loss. We'll have conversation. They want to lose 20 pounds. They don't have no confidence, this and that. They're showing a bad example for their kids. And I always ask them like, okay, well, do you want to take action, or are you okay where you're at? Yeah. Right. And most people, they say they'll take action, but they don't take action. Cool. They're just lying to themselves. They're not okay where they're at. You know? Yeah, that's real. And so being able to look yourself in the mirror and be like, I'm okay with where I'm at, or I'm not okay with where I'm at, and I'm willing to do something about it. You know, I don't think we need to be one step ahead of other people. I think we need to be one step ahead of ourselves, right? Consistently becoming better. You know, I think we live in a society, especially with social media, where people are like, oh my gosh, this girl's got all these followers, or this guy's got these big biceps, or this person over here's got this nice car, this Lamborghini or whatever. Like that's cool, but what are you driving today? Is it better than what you've driven before? What are you doing today? Is it better than what you've done before? You know, and I can fall into these traps as well. Man, I'm in this coaching program for online fitness coaches, and there are other people in this coaching program making $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 a month from online fitness coaching. It's a lot of money to make in 1 month, right? And sometimes I'm
making
like,
a year, man.
Yeah, you know, and sometimes I'm like, oh wow, that's crazy. And then I get to sit there and be like, man, I used to be an inmate firefighter, fighting fires, cutting down trees with flames going everywhere, risking my life for $1 a day. Like, I've come a long way.
Yeah.
You know, like, okay, you know, and then we get to look at that. But I think the biggest mistake too, and I think this would be my suggestion for you, is really tying into your why. Like, really spending some time to figure out your why. You know, why is it you want to do X, Y, Z? Whatever it could be.
Yeah.
Right. And then the why is so strong. Like, for me, I'll give you an example. One of my whys is to use my story to inspire, motivate, and educate as many people as I possibly can, with a goal to impact at least hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people one day. So what happened last night? You and I were messaging each other back and forth. I knew I was going to a podcast in Tracy. For some reason, I thought you lived in Tracy. So I was like, oh man, I'm going to be in Tracy. And then I sat there at dinner with my girlfriend last night. Oh man, he lives in Los Baños. Yeah. And I looked it up and it's like, okay, Tracy's this way, Los Baños is that way. And then it's still going to be almost a 2-hour drive home after this. Yeah. And you're like, oh, we can do it another day. Like, no. Yeah. Because my why is so important. Like, screw this day. What was I going to do anyways? Right? Yeah. I'm on a mission to impact lives. How can I do that? Get on as many podcasts, as many TV shows, do as many things, as many stages, as many speaking opportunities, like many posts on Instagram. Like, it's all about impact, impact, impact. Right? My why is so strong that I'm not going to be like, oh man, yeah, that's cool. That's an extra drive. So what? I spent a little bit more on gas than I expected. I got a couple extra hours on the road. Who cares? I used to be a drug addict. I would have done this for drugs. You know, they told me they got the best meth 4 hours away. I'm on my way. Let's go. You know, so why wouldn't I do that for my reason, for my goals, my purpose? You know?
Yeah, that's really interesting when you put it like that, bro. Like, yeah, that makes hella sense. If I get quiet, I'm just soaking in everything that you tell me. You know what I mean?
No, it's good.
Damn, that's a fucking bar, man. Good shit. No, good shit, man. Because I know for me, like, it's a blessing and a curse, right? I feel for me, I was blessed for the most part to have a decently good life, right? Like a good family, you know, mom and dad, you know, my dad still lives in the same house I grew up in, you know what I mean? All those types of things, you know? So I definitely feel like that made me a little sheltered and like took out the drive in specific things. You know what I mean? Because, like, for example, right? Let's say football. You get some kid from Compton, right? He has all the things against him, right? And then you get this other kid from the nice side, like Hollywood or something in LA or whatever, right? Like a nice side of town. Yeah. The kid in Compton is going to have more drive than the kid that was given everything to him. You know what I mean?
Possibly. Not always.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so. And the reason why is because, like, I've never been to Compton, but I've been on that side of town. Like I grew up in that bad side of town. Yeah. And I didn't have drive to do anything positive, you know? So if you also think about, like, they might have if they have the right mindset. Once again, it's a mindset thing. It's all a mindset thing. Right, because I grew up in the hood, right? I didn't grow up in nice neighborhoods. I had a good, for the most part, once my mom got her life together, like, she was a very loving mom. She loved me unconditionally. She was amazing. My stepdad was amazing. You know, like, both of them ex-drug addicts that got off the streets, got their lives together, and loved me unconditionally. Even when I was a meth head, even when I was running around with guns, even when I was in jail, juvenile hall, prison, they would love me unconditionally, right? Didn't change the path I went down. You know? Yeah. And so I think that a lot of it is just, and I would say this too, I think it's all a blessing. I don't think there's a curse in anything. I think it's a blessing, good or bad is a blessing. Okay. You know? And I say this to people all the time, like, I'm grateful that I did 10 years in prison. I'm grateful for every ass whooping I've had, for every needle mark I have, for every scar I have on my body, for every day I starved in a prison cell. I'm grateful for everything that I've gone through because it's created the man I am today. Yeah. You know, and we can use these as tools to become better and to help others become better as well. You know, so you grew up in a nice household and that's awesome. So use that as a tool. Yeah. Right? You have a skill set that other people don't have. I have a skill set that other people don't have. Right? And I can take that skill set. Okay, I could have the victim mentality, which is what I had for a very long time. Oh man, I grew up in a bad neighborhood. My mom used to be on drugs. My dad used to beat on me. You know, I used to get jumped at school. You know, nobody loves me. And then the system threw me away when I was 15. They gave up on me and put me in juvenile hall. And then I got beat up in there. And then I went to jail and F the police and all this stuff. Man, I just came from a podcast episode with a police officer. You know, like,
I've seen that.
He's a cop, you know, like, You know, like
full circle, like you were saying.
Full circle, man. You know, and why is that? Because I said, okay, I've been through all this stuff. How can I use this for my benefit?
Yeah.
You know? So now you can take a look at that. I'm like, okay, I haven't been through, maybe you ain't been through the extreme stuff that I've been through, but you've been through some stuff, right?
Yeah.
You said your mom passed 4 years ago, right? My condolences, brother, right? That's something that other people might not have ever dealt with yet, right? Or that's something that some people, well, my mom died when I was in prison in 2013. I use that as an excuse to get high. I use that excuse to get in fights. I use that as an excuse to do illegal activities instead of saying that should be a reason why I should work harder. Today, it's a reason why I work harder. Today, every single day, I get up, I talk to my mom, wherever she's at in heaven, whatever. I don't really have a religious belief system, but I have conversations with her every morning, every night, throughout the day. Thanks, Mom, for letting me do this. Or, I'm driving here to go do the second podcast of the day. Like, I'm so grateful. Like, I'm out here driving, driving through Cowtown, like, to make this happen. Like, Yeah. And it's because, like, we can take a look at the things that we've been through and say, okay, cool, I've been through some stuff. How can I use that as rocket fuel? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 'cause I know for me, bro, like, I feel like, I was talking to my dad about this a couple weeks ago. It was like a week ago. I was saying, like, bro, ever since Mom died, we've been in fucking survival mode, bro. Like, I live with my grandma, right? Because then my grandpa passed. Literally, my mom passed 2019. 2020. Damn near the same year, my grandpa that lives here got sick, and we didn't know he had like cancer from head to toe. Boom. And then within 9 months, bro, passed as well. Right?
Sorry to hear that.
Thank you. And then there's that. So this whole time I went from like a normal lifestyle. Mom, dad, I know she's sick. I know she's gonna slowly pass one day, but it's like when, right? So then that happens. Then my pops, right? So this whole time it's just been like fucking one thing after another. And then my other grandpa just passed the other day when I was telling you about. And then literally my family just felt like so low because 2 days later, I think it was Friday, then his brother passes, my uncle, from cancer too. It's just like a fucking one thing after another, you know what I mean? And I know for me personally, like I just like to be honest with my viewers, you know what I mean? Just being vulnerable,
Yeah, it's important.
Because like men don't really talk about shit, you know what I mean? Like we're just fucking keep it pushing, you know what I mean? Handle. But then that's why fucking men's suicide's so high. It is. Like we don't talk about shit yet. We're all going through our own fucking battles, you know? And I told my dad this, bringing it back to talking to my dad, I was like, bro, like I'm your son and you're my dad, but we are literally both fighting the same battle, but we're not talking about it. You know what I mean? Like he's struggling, like, I miss my wife. I can't do this because of my wife, like the victim thing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then for me, longing for advice from a father, like, I want this, I want that, but then not wanting to be a burden because my dad's vocalizing his
feelings.
Yeah, his feelings. So I'm like, fuck. So then we're caught in the same thing. Like, I don't want to talk to him, and then he's like, I can be strong for my kid, but then he can't because he still misses his wife. You know what I mean? So to bring it full circle, what I was to my point was like learning how to be my own man and figuring out like what to do, because like I like what I was talking about, like with my family, my dad always took care of this, my mom this, and then I get thrown into the fucking world right when I graduate, because I'm only 22, right?
Oh, you're young.
Yeah, I'm fucking young. Yeah, I turned 23 next month, right?
Nice.
Yeah, so learning how to be my own man on top of taking care of a relationship, taking care of family, taking care of myself. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's what's been so fucking hard for me, bro. Trying to figure out like who the fuck, like figure out who the fuck I am. You know what I mean? Because like there's no handbook to this shit once you get thrown out into life. You know what I mean? I don't know if any of that makes sense, but
no, it makes a lot of sense. And so first off, I commend you because you're 22 years old and you're doing some cool things, right? Like, like you got this podcast going, you know, like, you know, like you're taking steps that some people never take to better yourself, right? Podcast is a great platform to have conversations with people, to learn new stuff, learn new skill sets, learn mindset shifts, whatever, right? And just have like legit conversations with cool people. You know, that's what I love about podcasts. You just chop it up with people, you know, like just, you know, like I'm just talking to people, just getting to know people, like learning, growing myself as well, you know. But I mean, at 22 years old, man, I was addicted to meth and committed a crime I was looking at 27 years in prison for. And look at you at 22 years old, man. So I commend you, first off.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate that, man.
Second off, this would be my number one suggestion for you. Find people that are doing the things you want to do and attach yourself to those people.
Yeah.
Right? Whether that be mentors, friends, coaches, all of that. Right? Yeah. I once attached myself to people that were doing negative things because that's what I wanted to do. And it led me down a horrible path for a long time. Now I attach myself to people that are doing things that I want to do in a positive manner. Right? Yeah. So I'm traveling. I go to different events, different masterminds. I'm in several different coaching programs. I'm attaching myself both physically and financially to individuals who I admire. So when you start to find and use this podcast as a platform, bro. Yeah. Like, keep building this podcast and then find people who are doing things that you're like, man, I like what this person is doing. I want to get them on my show. And then sit down and have a conversation with them. Build a relationship with them. Right? Learn some stuff from them, but also be able to grow because of it. Yeah. You know, one of the greatest assets I've been able to put together in my life is my network of people. And my network of people is growing because I go to all these different events and I go and talk to people like, man, I like what you're doing, man. How do you do it? What are you doing? Like, have conversations. And sometimes it goes somewhere, sometimes it doesn't. But back to the idea that most of our society is selfish, but the people that are actually being super successful, they're not selfish. People that are really successful, I found that they're not selfish. They'll have conversations with you. They'll give you information. They'll give you assistance if you need it. They'll just show you some love, you know? Yeah. And I think that's super important. You know, so although you don't feel like you have like that with your father right now, because, you know, he still, you know, he still seems to have some anguish from losing your mom, you know? Yeah. Find someone you can have that with. That's a positive mentor, a positive person right there. Yeah. Because that right there, you know, that's why people hire coaches. You know, like, people hire me, my clients, I have like 25 clients right now. They hire me for fitness. They hire me for weight loss, but that's not what they get from me. They get mindset. They get mindset coaching. That's what I do most of. Most of what I do is mindset coaching, you know, because I help my clients completely shift the way they think about themselves and the world around them so that they can take action in all areas of their lives. Yeah. Because
I know that's pretty much what this, another thing, like what this was, bro. Like, because I'm gonna be real, like I have so many acquaintances, but like friends, fuck, I don't really got no friends. So like for me, that's pretty much what this pod is, right? Like I get a lot of people wanting to come on the pod, right? But then I'm like, okay, well, what value are you providing? Not only to my viewers, but to me. You know what I mean? Like for you, I wanted to really talk to you too, because you're someone that I can learn a lot from. And yes, we can get out your message on like fitness and how to live an ideal lifestyle, but your story, like what you're saying, yeah, you know what I mean? And although I don't see myself going down that route, there's so many like lessons and stuff you've been through that only life would have taught you. You know what I mean? Absolutely. And someone like you that's willing to share your story with a guy like me, you know, just some random 22-year-old dude, you know, it's just like, bro, I want to get as much out of you. For me, for mostly me, and then for my audience second, because if I'm not good, then I can't make content, and if I can't make content, then I can't affect people. Absolutely. You know what I mean? So this is mostly for me. So that's why when I talk to people, I usually talk to a lot of like older people, or unless it's something that's providing value, like people my age. But I'm like, I just want to get so much from like you guys, you know, and just get wisdom, you know, especially because like what you're saying, like, surround yourself around people that you admire. You know, like you're someone that I admire solely for the fact that like you openly admit that you had like this victim complex and stuff like that about like your past stuff, but then you did a complete 180 in a year, which I didn't know. I thought it was like, oh, you spent 10 years of your life like rehabilitating, but you just said you did it in a year. Yeah. Like that's fucking crazy. You know what I mean? Especially because I'm curious, was like, what I feel like you probably talked about it, but I didn't really understand what through those 9 years made that flip for you. That was like, oh, at this last year, I'm gonna just balls to the wall grind.
Yeah. So first thing I want to say, a thought that came to my mind when you were talking, is this saying that says, a smart man learns from his mistakes. A genius learns from another person's mistakes. Right. Yeah. So what you're doing right now, you mentioned like you'll never go down the route I went down. Good, you don't have to. I did it for you already.
Yeah, and that's right? Like we're talking. I did it already,
bro. It's not fun, I promise. Okay.
Yeah.
But like okay, so like during those 9 years before I decided to consciously change, like I slowly changed.
Yeah.
A little bit at a time, right? But I didn't change aggressively, right? And that's why everything I do is super aggressive. I'm like really like going hard for everything I'm doing because I see the results and I know that there's more to come.
Yeah.
Right. So during those 9 years, first off, I became utterly obsessed with fitness. Fitness became my thing. I went in there super skinny and I got out jacked, right?
Yeah.
But during those 9 years, those initial 9 years, that was a big thing for me, fitness, right? So I read every book, every magazine I could get my hands on. I took notes. I wrote workout plans for other people in my jail or my prison. I trained people in there. I worked out with people. You know, like I have a friend, his name is Shane. I literally go to the gym. Like I texted him on the way here and was like, bro, are we going to the gym tomorrow? Because he hurt his hand. But I literally go to the gym multiple times a week with Shane, and I was in prison with him. And he was basically, I call him my first client because I helped him lose about 30 pounds and I taught him how to do pull-ups.
Oh, shit.
Right? In prison.
Yeah.
You know, I call him my first client because I was just training people for fun because that's what I did and I like fitness.
Yeah.
You know? So that's an aspect of mine that was developed over those 10 years and gotten better and better and better. I took college classes in there. So I started working on a degree. And those college classes were correspondence classes. Like they send you a book, they send you a packet of paper with all the homework in it. And they go, okay, there you go. Your homework's due at the end of the semester, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? And you just pull out the book. I literally taught myself everything, you know, like history, English. Like I read the book, I take notes, I do the report, I do the homework assignment, I send it out through the mail, all in my cell, all by myself. I didn't have no teacher to ask questions. I didn't have no help. Right? I had to figure this out on my own. You know, so there's pieces like that between the fitness and that educational topic that, you know, like I slowly started making some changes, right? But I still struggle with my drug addiction and my anger. So marijuana, alcohol, anger, those are things I still struggled with. And then in 2013, when my mom passed, I used that as a reason to go deeper into my addiction. And I started using hard drugs as well. And I started doing meth. And eventually I started doing heroin. I've never done heroin on the streets, only in prison.
Oh,
right?
shit.
I got hooked on heroin in there. And it was just like, I wanted to die, man. My life was just like, it was over. You know, I literally wanted to die.
Yeah.
Even my own homies were tired of my shit. They were like telling me like, we're gonna kill you if you don't stop. Like you're just fucking up too much, man. And I wanted them to.
Yeah.
You know, I was at a place
like a death wish.
I wanted the drugs or the people, like someone just take me out. Right. So that was 9 years in. I was like still like wanting to die, but something happened. It was that mindset shift. You know, I had that moment where I was just like, man, I'm done. Like this is just, what am I doing? Like this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You know. And so I went to a person that I honestly didn't even like me and Fernando, my boy now, but like we didn't get along, you know? And the reason why we didn't get along is because he went to school, he went to church, he went to NA meetings, he went to a construction class, he didn't smoke weed, he didn't drink, he didn't get in fights, he didn't gamble.
It's kind of like envious in a sense.
Oh, I was jealous of him, right? I didn't know that at the time, but I know it now, right?
Yeah.
At the time, I was like, that fool's lame, he's a loser. You know, he ain't with the shit, you know? Because I thought I was some badass or something, you know, because I did all those other things, you know? Kind of find out he was the badass because he was actually changing in an environment that's not made to help you change, you know?
Yeah.
And so when I attached myself to him, like that's why I was saying find people you admire, right? When I finally was like, I need to stop using drugs. I need to change my life. Who can help me? Fernando. I've been seeing him do it himself. Maybe he can help me. I went and asked him, hey, Fernando, man, I need your help, bro. And he's like, I got you, you know? And then he helped me. And that last year is when I dialed things in.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, I'm super focused on everything I need to do so that when they finally let me out that gate, I don't come back.
My person that was for me recently was this pastor or reverend. I've been going to church recently, which is kind of new for me. And ironic enough, like my grandpa was a pastor.
Okay.
But I definitely feel like I would tell people I was religious by association. Like my mom was religious, my dad's religious. But then for me, I definitely feel like you can't put religions on somebody, you know, because if you do, then they're just gonna build like a sort of resentment toward it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So for me, I've been doing it myself now, and bro, like fuck, it's a beautiful thing, but it's like. Well, like when I say it's exhausting doing the self growth, you know, like self-reflecting and looking in yourself, bro. Like I can't go to I can't go to a church a single time without just like, boom, just busting down. Like even right now, like I think about it, I just get like choked up. And that just shows me, bro, like there's so much like there's so much like shit that I just stuff, you know, just keep going. And then I said this at my grandpa's speech the other day for his funeral. I was like, my grandpa was such a strong man, but for him anyway, he couldn't have done it without his faith, right?
Yeah.
And be like tying in like yeah, you have your wife, but then at the end of the day, it was just him and his Bible, you know. And for me, I was like, if I'm gonna be that pillar of strength for my family one day, I feel like I need something like that, some sort of faith. You know what I mean? And I found, for me personally, anyways, I found the more my stubborn ass was trying to do my way, the worse my life kept getting, bro. Like,
interesting.
Yeah, I think the end of the year of last year is when I picked up my Bible, because my dad got me a Bible when I graduated, right? And he was like, look, I'm the man I am today, and I'm the dad you love because of this Bible, right? And he's like, you don't have to use it, but one day in your life you're gonna find yourself alone and you want something, and this is something that's not gonna turn its back on you. That's what he told me. And I was like, okay, but 18-year-old me, I'm like, all right, whatever, you know? And then I think like the end of the year, this last year, I was just like so alone, like mentally, and I was just like, let me just see what it's about or whatever, right? And I started like reading it, and I was just like, fuck, bro. Like it felt like relieving, you know what I mean? And yeah. I'm not the one to push religion on anybody, because I mean, coming from someone that just started going to church a couple weeks ago, you know, like even my grandma, she's a pastor as well, and she was like really proud of me, you know, for like going to church and stuff like that. And I just wanted to like talk to you a little bit about that. Like, what are your thoughts on like religion? Like, cause you know how you said you're like not really that like religious. Is it by choice, or did you have like a bad experience with religion, or it's just something you never dabbled in? Yeah,
so a little bit of everything, right? Yeah. A little bit of everything you just said. So growing up, you know, when we lived with our dad, when my parents got split up, my dad went into the Mormon religion. Yeah. It's a very strict religious belief system. Really? And he kind of forced it down our throat, right? He forced my brother and I to be Mormons, and we had to get baptized, and we had to do all the go to church and sermons and all this different things, right? And it just didn't fit for me, especially because like, how can we like go to church on Sunday and then go home and get slapped for saying something, talking back, you know? Sure. And so it didn't make sense to me. It felt very like, you know, the opposite. And then with everything that happened in my life, you know, all the things I've been through, that the things that have happened to me, or the things that I've done over the years, I had developed an anger towards God. Mm-hmm. I felt like God was a punishing God, and I was always being punished. Mm-hmm. And so eventually I became angry and had developed some hatred towards God. When I was in prison, I actually have an upside down cross tattooed on my back, because I was like super like anti-God, anti-Jesus, right? Like for a very long time, I hated God. Yeah. I hated the belief of God. Like, why would all this be happening to me? You know, like good kids die in school shootouts, and like, how is there a God if all these things happen, right? And so this is something I struggled with for a long time. And so I had like this anger and hatred towards God. And then when I started to make changes in my life, you know, I started going to NA meetings, which is like AA, but for narcotics. So it's Narcotics Anonymous, right? Oh, okay. So it's like AA, but for drug addicts, you know, it's the same idea. Yeah. And so I started going to the meetings, and, you know, they talk about this higher power. And the idea is you need to find a higher power. It doesn't have to be God. It doesn't have to be Jesus. It has to be just something more powerful than you. And so when I was in prison, my mom was the only person that supported me 100% the whole time until she died. Okay. Yeah. She wrote me letters, sent me cards, and she signed them all off. Peace and love. Peace and love. That was her thing. Peace and love. Well, I had never lived a life of peace and love. I lived a life of anger and violence and hatred. And so I thought, now that I'm changing my ways, I need to change everything. You know, they say that in order to change one thing, you have to change everything. Cool. So if everything I've been living is this one way, let me switch it up. Peace and love. Okay, so I need to live with peace and love. So that's my mom. So I needed a higher power, so my mom became my higher power. She is my higher power right now. Yeah. Right? So that being said, I speak to her daily. I talk to her every morning. I talk to her before bed every night. And I talk to her just throughout the day when I need her. Either when I'm struggling or when I'm happy. You know? Just like, man, this is great, Mom. Thank you so much. I appreciate this. Like, you know, maybe I'm talking to God. I don't know. But to me, I'm talking to my mom, right? That's who I speak to. That represents what I want to represent, and it represents my idea of a higher power. And I just feel like it also just kind of just takes me out of this idea of a religious belief system, you know, and just lets me do what works for me. You know, I'm a firm believer, like, what works for one person doesn't have to work for everyone, but as long as it's working.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because I know for me, my relationship with it too was like both of my parents, because they were religious like to the bone, right? But they never really went to church. Like and what I took from that, because like my grandpa left one of these churches that he was at, and then he went to a different one because it was getting like hella political. You know what I mean? And then like they get really like, you can't do this and that, like literally what you're talking about. Like they're preaching one message and then they go and do the other. Yeah, you know. So my parents told me, they're like, your faith and your religion is between you and whatever religion you're worshiping, right? You don't need to go somewhere just to prove to anybody else, oh, that I'm religious. You know what I mean? Like if you're Islamic or whatever, you're reading the Quran, then you just go to the Quran. You don't have to go to whatever they do or like what we're talking about, you know? So I know definitely for me, another reason too was I was like, damn, I'm only looking at God when shit hits the fan, bro. Like I was only like, damn, I got in trouble or whatever. I was like, God, please. I was like, but you have to like talk to him when something good happens and something bad happens, you know? And same thing, like, it's interesting you say that, bro. Like, literally I've been doing the same thing before I even started being religious. I did the same thing with my mom. Like for me, that was like my pillar of strength. Yeah. So I was like, help me, what would you do? Type shit, you know? And it's funny that I've gotten so many like lectures and stuff from her in my head that I'm like, I don't even need to like ask her what I should do, because I already have her in my head like, well, you're gonna fuck around and find out. Like, I mean, this is what's gonna happen. Don't do this, don't do that, you know? And I find it really interesting that like you said the same thing about like your mom, how you've been doing it. And I know for me, I don't really know what I felt growing up about having like a hatred, because my mom got sick when I was like, I think like 12, I think it was around like 6th grade. And I had more envy toward like my family. Like my sister, for example, she got like the best years of my mom because we're 6 years apart. So literally going into high school, she got like the best of versions of everything. And then when I got to high school, that's when everything was like downhill. You know what I mean? So it was really hard. I had more envy towards that, but I never really thought about it as like why would God do this? But then I find myself, that was another reason I never got really religious, because I thought the same shit. I'm like, well, how could all these people be suffering? How could all this happen? And I still didn't even know the answers. And I feel like the more we like try to conceptualize it and try to like dumb it down to like a human constraint, we're never really gonna get the answers to that. Because I think about that too. Like while we're talking right now, like how could you believe in something, but then on the other hand, there's all these horrible things happening. You know what I mean? I don't really know how, like what to feel about that. Because like I know my mom used to say it was about faith, right? Like I would ask her these questions too, and she's like, well, it kind of just comes down to you having faith. You know what I mean? And have you ever seen that movie Sausage Party? I know this is like a complete 180. It's a movie about produce, right? Okay. And they're like cartoons, and it's like a rated R version, and they talk about like the great beyond, right? Which is basically like heaven, right? And the perishables are
I have seen it.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that movie's fucked me up so bad that I'm like, bro, like what if all of this religion and everything is just something to get us by, you know, but there is nothing at the end.
Well, let's think about that.
You get me?
Let's unpackage that a little bit. If religion, you know, belief in a religion, whether it's the true religion or not, makes you a good person and you do right because of it, that's all that matters. Yeah. Right? Whether you go somewhere at the end or not does not really matter.
Valid.
right? Valid. We don't know if we go there or not. Nobody's ever come back like, yo, I was at heaven. It was awesome. You know, like big party in the sky. Nobody's ever done that, right?
Yeah.
So we don't actually know. But if your faith that that's where you're going when you die has you wake up each morning and do better each time, then it's a successful faith. It's a successful belief system, right? There are people that are Christians that are amazing human beings. There are people that are Christians that are horrible human beings. There are people that are, don't have a religious belief that are amazing human beings. There's people who that are horrible human beings, right? So I think that if we find something to have faith in or some reason to push forward, and we use that as a tool and as an opportunity to fuel our success and our impact in the world in a positive way, then it was a successful message. It was a successful thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Makes sense.
So it's kind of like, this is how it and for a long time, I used to not once again, like I said, I used to hate religion.
Yeah.
I don't hate religion. During that last year when I was changing my life, I went to church too. Did I go in there and believe everything that was said? No. I still don't believe that Jesus Christ was the Son of God, right?
Yeah.
I believe he was probably a prophet or whatever, and I believe there was really a guy named Jesus Christ. Cool. But guess what? I went to church and I heard a message of positivity, of love, of hope, right? I heard stuff and I got to pick out the pieces like, all right, Jesus, that's some dude, whatever. I don't believe that. But did he do some cool stuff that was really helpful to the world? Yeah. Cool. Then I want to be more like that guy. Whether I believe he was Jesus or God's son, or whether I believe that he rose after 3 days, it doesn't matter. There was a positive message there.
Yeah.
When I got out of prison and I went to the drug program I went to, they had a church on Sundays that we were allowed to go to. I went. Mm-hmm. And people were like, "Oh, you should get baptized." Nope, I'm cool. I'm not here for your religion. I'm here for the positive message, right?
Okay.
I'm here to become a better human being, right?
Yeah.
So now it's like, all right, cool. So now me personally, I do a lot of other things to me that's spreading a positive message. I don't need to go to the church no more because I've put myself to that next place. Where now I'm putting myself in rooms or doing things like here we are on a Sunday, right? Everyone else is going to watch the football game. I'm not going to watch the football game. I'm driving all over to California, get on podcasts, sharing my message, right? Sharing my story, right? Yeah. Because that right there makes me a better human being and helps me make the world a better place, right? So if I look at it like that, I'm like, all right, cool. So whether you're a Christian or you're Catholic or you're Muslim or you're agnostic or you're an atheist, or it doesn't matter. Do you wake up every morning and strive to make the world a better place? Do you wake up every morning and strive to become better than you were yesterday? Cool, then I can fuck with you. If you wake up every morning with a pissed off victim mentality, trying to make the world worse and doing stupid shit, I can't fuck with you. And it's, so to me, it's like, like I have friends that go to church every Sunday religiously. Cool, handle it, bro. Do your thing, man. I love you. I respect you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go run. That's for me. I'm gonna go run about 10 miles. Cool. You're not gonna go run, and you're gonna go but it works for you, and it works for me. Then it does its job.
Yeah, that's valid. So then So what's your thoughts on death then? Because how earlier you were talking about you were hoping your homies were checking you for doing whatever you were doing, and you're like, I hope they do it or whatever. What's your thoughts on death?
I don't know. I don't really think about it.
No?
Nope.
I do. I think about it a lot. Because, I know for me, I was really, I'd say, these past, 3 years, too. I found myself, too, and this is why I've been trying to drink less, too. Because, I like to party, right? So, I always found myself when I would go home, and I would, the party's done, right? I'm home. I'm still faded, right? I found myself so miserable, right? And I would find myself just rocking, just faded. I'm just I don't want to be here no more. I don't want to be here. I just want to be with my mom, whatever, And for the longest time, I used to say, I'm not scared of death, but I'm scared of living a life alone. I'm cool. I get it. Let's say I'm 80, my wife, whatever. One of us is going to die first, unless some shit happens and we die together type shit. But most of the time we're going to die alone, right? Yeah. My biggest fear personally is going throughout life alone, going from 20 to 60 and going through it and not having a partner or something like that. Cause that's scary to be that alone, Well, for me, anyways, but then I also find part of me is because I'm depressed, but also I'm very interested in death. I want to see what the hype's about, bro. I want to see what's real. Do we just go black? Is it nothing? Is it hell? Is it heaven? I get very curious about death. That's why I was just curious. But like you said, you don't really. think about death, huh?
You know what? When it comes to death, this is what I think about. I think about spending every waking moment here as if it was my last and focus so much on my purpose and my reason behind it so that when I die, whenever that is, whether I'm 80 or whether I leave today and get hit by a semi, I live the best life I could. Right?
Yeah.
And so like I say this to people all the time, like if you get up in the morning and don't like the life you live, change it. It's not hard to change your life.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah. Right? But too many people get up like, fuck, I hate myself. I'm fat. My kids don't respect me. I hate my job. You know, my car's always breaking down. Like, but what do you do about it? And I'm gonna piss some people off today, but watching football is stupid. Yeah. Drinking is stupid. Yeah. You know, smoking weed is stupid. Right? In my opinion, right? But I don't do none of those things, and I've been able to accomplish more in my life than some people ever accomplish. Yeah. And I mean ever. Yeah. You know, like there's people that will never be able to do what I've done already. And I'm just starting, man. Unless I get hit by a semi, I ain't stopping, you know? Yeah. So it's like what separates the, you know, they say that the only thing that separates the successful from the non-successful is that the successful don't stop. They just don't stop. You know? I might not be there today, I might not be there tomorrow, but I'm gonna get there. And when I get there, I'm gonna keep going, and I'm gonna keep going, you know? But I want to know that, like, when I do die, right? I know people are like, man, that sucks that he's dead, but that motherfucker, all he did was watch Netflix and football anyway, so whatever. Yeah. You know, like, that's real. Like, man, that sucks that he's dead, but I mean, he wasn't really doing anything. Type shit. You know? Yeah. I won't be like, damn, man, he died. Oh, man, he was on such a fucking mission. Look at all the shit he did. Yeah. Look at all the stuff he did. Like, man, he lived a good life. You know? I want people to be like, man, you know, he lived a good life. That was a good guy. That was a good person. He changed a lot of lives. He helped a lot of people. Yeah. You know?
No, that's real, because I know for me, this guy that I look up to a lot, I had him on, and he said his personal belief on happiness was a combination of contentment and fulfillment, meaning he can wake up every day and do something for free, and he can also realize that that's enough. Like, he could wake up and it's chill, you know what I mean, and not wanting more. Like, and that's what I'm literally seeing with you, like how you just said, like, you could die right now and like you're fucking happy because you're giving your all, you know. And that's why I'm so open about what's going on in my head, because I want to show people that it's like I'm out here still trying, and I'm still figuring this shit out. I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm still trying, you know what I mean? But it's okay to just be vulnerable about it, and it doesn't make you less weak. You know what I mean? Especially like someone like you, like no one's probably gonna fuck with you, right? But yet you're over here providing your story and telling people your ups and downs. You're not just painting the beautiful picture of, oh, I'm a coach, I'm a lifestyle, be like me. It's like, nah, you're telling your tales. You know what I mean? And that's what that was another thing I wanted to push with my message, was that like you can be vulnerable and tell people how you feel, and it doesn't make you less of a man.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. There's this guy that I recently met. I don't know if you know. Do you know who Ray Cashcare is? Mm-mm. So Ray Cashcare he's such a dope human being. I recently met him in Miami at this mastermind I was at about 2 weeks ago. And Ray Cashcare was a Navy SEAL for 14 years, CIA operative for 12 years. So he's 26 years. He was a killer, you know, like he was a goon, you know, like a real goon. Not these goons, motherfuckers say they're right here. Like, it was a real one, you know.
No, that fool was active.
Yeah. And now he does like a lot of mindset coaching and business coaching and speaking events. And I was at this really intimate mastermind. I go to a lot of events, masterminds, seminars, conferences, trying to just level up my skill sets, level up my network. And this was a very intimate one. Like, we're all in a mansion. There was like 30 attendees. You know, I literally got to have a one-on-one conversation. Excuse me. Yeah. One-on-one conversation with like every speaker there. You know, and I was talking to him, and he's like this really down to earth human being. But he did a podcast, and he was talking about like, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be vulnerable. Like, his whole podcast is like, it's okay. This dude's seen more things than most human beings will ever even think of or imagine. And he's saying it's okay for men to be vulnerable, right? Mm-hmm. We need more men like that. Yeah. Right? So I strive to be a man like that, where I've been through some shit and I could do some shit if I have to, you know? But I have a 6 and an 8-year-old stepson, And the 6-year-old kicks my ass all the time. Yeah. And I love it. I love to come home and have this time. And my girlfriend's Asian, so these kids are tiny. They're not big kids, you know? Yeah. Little tiny 6-year-olds are running up on me, just firing on me, you know? And he's got this bad habit of putting his thumbs inside. Like, pull those thumbs out. He pulls them back out and he'll start firing on me again, you know? Like, here I am. I'm 6 foot. I'm over 200 pounds. I'm muscular. I'm covered in tattoos. Got, you know, over a decade incarceration behind my back. I've seen some pretty heinous crimes. I've seen some violence, a lot of violence in my life. Like, I've seen some shit that will keep people up at night for years. Yeah. You know? And this little 6-year-old has no fear of me at all because of the man I've become. Right? Knowing that I can be vulnerable with him, I can talk about my feelings. You know, when my dad was sick and when my dad passed away in December, a couple months ago, you know, that, thanks, man. And when I got home from that, my 2 stepsons came like, oh, your dad died. I'm sorry, Paul. Like, they loved on me, right? To know I have that relationship with them, but also know that, like, if someone were to try to do something to them, I would snap them in half like a toothpick. Yeah. You know, like, that I think is what makes, like, that level of being able to be vulnerable but still be able to secure your family is important as a man. Yeah, no, 100%. And I feel like for me, that's what I'm trying to figure out right now, you know? Because I was saying that I was like, I need to get my shit together before I have a kid because I don't have any kids yet. I want kids, you know? Yeah. I was saying I want kids by like, obviously you never plan this shit, but I want one by like 24, 25, you know? Because like, and I was talking to my dad about this the other day. I was like, bro, if I have a kid right now, like, I'm chilling, like I'm chilling about it in the sense because like kids bring, like you're saying, like kids bring a new sense of peace and happiness. In theory, right? You know, because like sometimes they can also bring the crazy out of you too. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, in theory, like kids are a blessing and shit like that. You know, they're still a blessing. Either way. But like that's why I was like, I wouldn't mind, like, because I definitely feel every parent that I've talked to that's like my age, that like from high school, they're always like, you know, kid, it didn't come when I wanted it, but it come when I needed it because it changed my life. Absolutely. You know, and I feel like here it comes again with me arguing with myself. I'm like, oh, like I would love a kid right now because that would give me like a new sense of purpose. But then I'm also arguing with myself. I'm like, you don't need a fucking kid to come here to tell you to change your shit. You know what I mean? So that I agree with that though. You know what I mean? So now you can kind of see a little bit where I constantly am like at war with myself of like arguing. I'm like, well, you don't need this to this and this and that. And then that's where I'm like, okay, well, what is it that is going to make you fucking change and change your ways and stop drinking, stop smoking? You know, I mean, I don't really smoke that much, but I smoke like at night, maybe just to go to bed type shit. But like partying and shit like that, I was like, okay, what's enough? You know what I mean? And I feel like for what was enough for me, I was like, fuck, every Sunday I wake up all fucking crudo, all hungover. And I'm like, fuck, bro. It's just like, and I'm just sitting over at the toilet. I'm like, yak. And I'm like, fuck, man. Like, okay, this is enough. This isn't fun anymore. You know? But that's why, that's what I'm saying. Like, I get in a constant battle of like, okay, when are you going to change your shit? You know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, I think that goes back to the idea of connecting to your why, right? Finding my why, yeah, finding your why. Yeah, definitely find your why, right? And your why can be something small to start, right? It doesn't have, like, for me, my why, I stopped using drugs. My why was because I didn't want to go back to prison. Simple. I don't want to go back to prison. Yeah. I don't like prison. Nobody likes prison. Yeah. Nobody likes showering with other men. Nobody likes having a cop. Like, literally, the cops will tell you, take off your clothes, strip your clothes down, spread your butt cheeks, bend over, cough 3 times. I don't want another man to tell me to do that. Like, how degrading because of what? Because I want to put a substance in my body that changes the way I feel. How about I just stop getting high so I stop committing crimes? And if I stop committing crimes, I stop going to prison and being degraded by another man. Yeah. You know? Cool. That was an easy why. I don't like this shit. I'm going to stop making... You know? Then my why was like, all right, cool. I want to become a personal trainer and have my own personal training business. You know, and that was a why for a long time. And then now my why is like, man, I got 2 stepsons and I want them to see like what, like a father figure, right? Yeah. I want my 2 stepsons. You know what? My stepsons will never need anything in their life. First off, their dad is still there. So I'm not saying anything, like their dad is still in their life, you know, and he does his thing, you know, and he takes care of his kids. So I'm not knocking him at all. Right. Yeah. And my girlfriend is an amazing mother and she takes really good care of those kids, you know, like she's got a good job, good head on her shoulders. She's just amazing, you know? And then I get to be a part of that too, right? So now I get to put my input in it. Between our household and their dad's household, they'll never need anything. They'll never have a bad life. They're going to be taken care of forever, right? So now, like, my why is like, I want to show them like what's possible. I want to show them like they know my story. They don't know the deep trenches of my story like we talk about here, but they know I've been to prison. They know I struggled with drugs before. They also see me get up every morning, 4:15 in the morning. They see me work out religiously. They see me train in martial arts. They see me running 2 businesses. I have my event next Saturday. They're going to be at my event. They're going to see me on a stage speaking in front of, we got like 50 people signed up for our event. It's my second event, like.
Where's that at?
Castro Valley.
Oh, shit.
You should come, bro.
I know. That's what I was thinking about.
I'll send you the information. Before we leave, I'll even give you the discount link. Got you. It's going to be dope, bro. I got 12 speakers coming from all across the country to come speak on my stage. I put this together. I was saying, so I've got speakers coming from all around the country to speak on this stage, right? I've got speakers coming from Vegas, South Carolina, Dallas, SoCal, NorCal, all over the Bay. I've got like a total of 12 people coming.
How'd you line that up?
Man, by connecting with people like this.
Yeah.
Everything we're doing here, right? Exactly what we're doing right here, building connections. You know who Brad Lee is, right?
Brad Lee. Sounds familiar.
He's a huge podcaster, a huge business coach, huge speaker, right? And he has this saying, right? It says the more hands you shake, the more money you make. Right?
Sick. I like that.
So the more hands you shake, the more money you make. Now, it doesn't always have to be about money, but if you're on a goal, for me, I have a mission to impact more lives. You need money to impact lives, right? Yeah. So if I'm shaking more hands, having more conversations, right? If I have more conversations, I open up that network and I make it possible for me to make more money and create more impact, right? So it all aligns with each other. So I go to all these conferences, I go to all these events, and I'm walking around like, what's up?
No, you're good.
What's up? I'm Coach Paul. What's up? Look at you and I met at an event.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just walked up to you like, what's up, bro? Like, what you got going on? I got a podcast. Like, fuck it, let's make it happen. We connected at a small event in San Jose, right? I came from the East Bay. You came from here. We met in the middle at this event, right? My friends were speaking at the event, so I was there because of them, right? And I got to meet you, and I met a bunch of other handful of people. We connected, right? Yeah. And so now we're on this podcast together, and what happens is you just keep doing things like that. So for me, I'm on this mission to impact hundreds of thousands of lives. I know I'm meant to be on stages speaking in front of people. I know that's how I'm going to impact people, by speaking on stages, speaking on podcasts. Like, this is just what I'm meant to do. So I've done a few speaking engagements myself, right? Like, where people have invited me. Like, I've spoken at a couple high schools, spoken at a couple colleges. I've gone in the juvenile hall out where I live twice. I've gone to a juvenile fire camp. I'm going to another one at the end of March. I've spoken at the local chiropractic office. Last August, I did my first live speaking event, and it went really well. So now I'm doing my next one this Saturday. It's the second one. First one, I just got people I already knew, friends of mine, that were in the area, like, hey, come speak for me. This time, because of all the networking I've done, all the conversations I've had, the masterminds I'm in, and I just started reaching out to these other people, like, hey, I'm doing this speaking event, right? I want to create more impact. In order for me to create more impact, I can't do it all myself. You need other people. So I started reaching out to these other people, like, hey, I got this event coming up. It's a personal development event. It's not a fitness event. I'm literally the only coach that's going to be there. Well, there's a couple that are into fitness, but they're not. That's not their specialty, is coaching. I'm the only fitness coach that's going to be there, right? Everyone else has different areas that they're coaches, they're spiritual leaders, they're business coaches, they're entrepreneurs, they're motivational speakers, like all kinds of, I got a 2-time TEDx speaker coming. I've got a Billboard chart singer songwriter coming. Like, she's on the billboards, like, that's coming to come to this, and she's going to speak and sing. I've got this couple coming from Texas that are into fitness, but they're also motivational speaker, and they have a podcast on like relationships and stuff. I've got a bunch of different people coming out. And I did this, and I built this, and I reached out to all these people, and I said, hey, I'm on a mission to impact people, and I think you could help. And they're like, all right, we'll be there.
That's badass.
And now these people are going to come speak on the stage, right? And not only that, but with this event, we're raising money to get 1 million meals for Feeding America, which is a nonprofit organization, right? Zune's campaign.
Yeah.
So Zune to win, and owner of Kraken Media.
Yeah, dope dude.
Yeah, he's super dope human being, right? He's one of my best friends. I love him so much, right? I'm running with him. I'm not doing all of his run, but he's running from LA to New York.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is our second event. The first one, we did the same thing for his campaign. This is the second event for his campaign. It's going to be next week. We're going to have speakers. We're going to do raffles. Half the proceeds are going towards his campaign. Right. And then a week later, I'm flying down to San Diego for his event that he's doing in San Diego, and I'm going to his 3-day event. And then from there, I'm staying in SoCal with him for about a week, and then we're running March 1st. Damn, right?
You excited?
Like, yeah, I'm excited, man. But like, this is the stuff we get to do because of the connections we built.
Yeah.
Right? More hands you shake, the more money you make. Like, am I making money off of Zune specifically? Am I going to make money off of you?
Yeah.
Are you going to make money off of me? Maybe not. But the more hands you shake, the more opportunities you have. Yeah. And the more opportunities you have, the more money or impact you can make, right? When I say money, and everyone's like, "Oh, money's the bad root of all evil." Money is a tool.
Fuck yeah, bro.
Money is a tool.
I tell my dad that all the time, bro. I'm like, bro, I know you feel a hell of a lot better when your mortgage is paid at the end of the month type shit. You know what I mean?
Well, even better, like, look at it like this, okay? I work really hard and I work long hours and I make good money and I charge good prices for what I do, right? So that I can make good money. And guess what? I'm about to spend 15 days running from LA to New York to raise 1 million meals for the kids in need. If I had a 9-to-5 and I was living paycheck to paycheck and I was broke, I wouldn't have time to take 3 weeks off of, like, literally taking 3 weeks off of work. Like, I still train people in person and I'm putting a pause in all future payments until I get back. I'm missing out on like $8,000 by doing this run. I don't give a fuck about that money. I've been making money. I've been stacking money. I've been setting myself up for this run because I know how important this run is. But because I'm financially stable right now, because all my bills are paid, because my mortgage is paid, because I have money in the bank account, because I have credit cards, because I've established my finances.
Yeah.
I can take 3 weeks off and go for this run and go help raise 1 million meals for people in need that are doing worse off than me and feel okay with it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
People got this broke mindset that money is the root of all evil. Well, then you don't have no money. So then you're stressing off not having money. And then you're mad at your kids because they want new toys for Christmas and you can't buy it because you don't have no money, you know? And then you got to work on the weekends and you're mad because you're going to miss the Super Bowl because you have to work. Or like, what if you just figured out how to make more money? What if you, you know, like, what if you stop believing that money was evil and start believing that money was a tool that can be used for your benefit and for the benefit of others?
It's all perspective.
Yes, everything's perspective, bro. Like, every single thing in this world is perspective.
Facts.
You know?
That's facts. I literally was saying that on my Instagram post when I let people know that my grandpa died. I was telling him his perspective because one of my cousins was like mad at the world, right? He was like, oh, like, how could he believe in a God, but he took him like this and that? I'm like, bro, it's all perspective, bro. I'm like, he had cancer. Like, he went in for liver transplant. It went south. He didn't make it. My grandma even said, she was like, when his heart stopped, they believe in God. So they're like, they believe like he went to heaven. Like, it sucks for us because we're going to miss him, but it doesn't suck for him because he has his faith and he believes he's going to where he's going type shit, you know? And I know for me, I was like, that's what's helped me the most. Like with all these deaths that have been in my family, I'm like, it's all perspective, bro. Like whether or not I'm religious or not, I'm like, everything happens for a reason and everyone that is gone in my life are probably better off because of it, you know? And I feel like it's selfish of me to want them to be around knowing what I knew about them suffering and all that stuff. Like, I don't know if you've ever had people like in your family had cancer, bro. Like, like
my mom, and my stepdad, both of them died from cancer.
Bro. It's a motherfucker. Like seeing them like slowly slip away from the person they were because it's just beating them down and beating them down. Like, that's worse than them probably being gone, you know? Like, I don't know if you can attest to that, but that's how I looked at it, you know? Like, watching my mom slowly slip away and then watching the chemo and the hair come out and then the blood, it's like, fuck. Like, now I look at her now, like, I think of like the good shit, you know? And I'm like, okay, my mom's chilling, you know? Like, what about you? I'm kind of curious. Like, wherever your mom's laid or if she's cremated, do you visit that or no? So
she's cremated,
she's
right?
Cremated?
And so my brother actually has her ashes, and we're going to release her ashes in the ocean eventually.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, just between like my brother lives in Florida and I live in California, so like we're like we got to figure out a time to make it happen, and just we haven't been able to make it happen. But I wanted to like kind of just tap into something you mentioned, right? Back to the idea of perspective. Yeah. Right? And people dying.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
So if we believe, and you just mentioned yourself that you believe this as well, you know, that everything happens for a reason. Mm-hmm. So if I sit here and take a look at my mom, okay, and my mom dying, and back to what we talked about earlier, people in this society are so selfish, right? Yeah. My family member died. Why did they die? That's so sad. I feel sad. I am mad, so I'm going to go respond or do something stupid because and this is what I did when my mom died. I went and got high and got in fist fights and like was angry, like fuck everybody, like getting in fights and all this stuff, using all these drugs. But now I use my mom as a force to push me forward to impact more people, right? Now I have this business coach. Well, she's more like a life coach, everything coach. Her name is Jen Gottlieb, and you should check her out when you get a chance. She's amazing. Sure. And, you know, she has this acronym, HOPE, help one person every day. Okay? So if I can get up every day and help one person every day, and I do that every day this year for 365 days, and I help 365 people this year alone, just this year, I do something every single day to help 365 days. And that right there is because my mom is my driving force. Then my mom passing away forces me to move forward to help 365 people this year alone. And if I do that for the next 10 years, that's, you know, over 3,000 people I could help in my mom's honor that I wouldn't have done if she was still alive. I might have done it when she's still, I don't know, right? But because she passed and because she's a driving force behind what I do, every person, you know, I might stop a kid from doing suicide, right? I might stop a kid from drinking and driving. I might stop a parent from hurting their kid. I might stop a fellow drug addict from overdosing. You know, I might do something today that could save someone's life. Someone listening to this podcast right now might be like, oh my God, I wanted to kill myself until I heard that podcast, right? I hated my life until I heard that podcast, right? What if we could change or save someone's life today? That's real, and you can do that for the rest of your life, then losing someone you care about, but using that as a driving force to help more people, right? Perspective, right? Now you mentioned people, you know, watching someone die from cancer. I was in prison when my mom died. I was in prison when my stepdad died, so I didn't watch that happen. My brother was there with my mom through the whole thing, and he's such a strong man for that. But what I did do this last December is I sat there and watched my dad die, right? And I've been watching him go from this big burly biker, over 200 pounds, just this monster of a human being, to dwindling away, smaller and smaller, unable to walk. He got COVID, then he got pneumonia, and his lungs just went out. And I sat there for his last week, and I sat there by his bedside every single day. And 3 different days, the doctors told us it was his last day, and we stood around him, holding it onto him and crying and letting him know we love him. And then he didn't die. And then the next day came, and he just held on strong. Like, this man was so strong, you know. And I watched him take his last breath. I stood at the foot of his bed. My brother was right there. His wife was right there, and we watched him pass. It's a lot, bro. Yes, but you know what? I'm grateful. I'm in a position in my life, A, that I could be there, and B, that I was strong enough to walk through that. Because there are people that won't be able to walk through that. There are people that when their family members are dying, they're going to go drink. They're going to go use. They're going to go sleep around. They're going to go sleep, right? Depression is going to take over. Anxiety is going to take over. Like, these different issues are going to show up because they haven't done the work, prepared themselves. Yeah. You know? When we're able to walk through things in life and become stronger because of them, when the next thing comes up, if we're prepared, we can walk through those even better. Yeah. You know, when my mom died, I didn't do it right. You know, I used that as an excuse to use drugs and get in fights and do stupid stuff. Now, when my dad died, I was right there. I was like, fucking love you, Dad. You know? Yeah. And then I got to come home after that to my family and be a father figure for my 2 stepsons and spend Christmas with them. And, you know, because of the work I've done. Yeah. You know, and so if we consciously use every day to strive to become better and become a better human being each and every time, we can walk through those hard times. Yeah, that's real. Because I know for me, bro, like, it's been kind of hard because I know, like, I know once my mom passed, bro, I used to say this to people. I'm like, bro, like, that shit made me so cold, bro. Like, that shit made, like, watching her the way it went down and watching her the same way take her last breaths, you know? Like, I tell people, I'm like, bro, nothing, I mean, knock on wood, but, like, nothing is going to hurt that bad. So hold my mom and then just feel her, like, you know? And what's been hard for me is, like, when my grandpa passed.
I think I cried when I first seen him, but ever since then I've never really just cried about it, you know. And then same thing with my grandpa. Like I cried a little bit, you know, like this last week. But same thing, like, and what pisses me off is like what I'm trying to do with like myself, like growth, the journey, and looking within, bro. As I'm like, where's this shit going? Because like I'm just like stuffing it down, and just worrying about everyone else. And I'm like, bro, like I need to feel this shit eventually. Like it's gonna come out, you know. Because I know, like even with like us talking right now, like talking about certain things just makes me feel like choked up and shit. And I'm just like, fuck, like I need to work on my shit. But then I also think it's not bad to cry. You know what I mean?
Not at all. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, and I saw this actor. He was like, if I cry, it's okay. It's all the unexpressed love I didn't get to share. You know? And I'm just like yeah, like it's okay. It's okay to cry, but then it's not okay to suppress it. And I'm really bad. Well, good and bad. Like I'm really good at just suppressing shit. Like, all right, let's go. I got to take care of the family. Let's keep it pushing. And then I don't like to look back, because then I look back and then I look at all the shit that I've been suppressing. You know what I mean? So I feel like lately that's what I'm trying to figure out, how to be one with an emotion, with specifically, you know, like I just said, my grandpa passed. I didn't really cry, you know, but then randomly having a conversation with my guest right now, getting emotional about all the things that you're saying. I'm like, damn, bro, like I need to start feeling more, you know? But,
yeah, I think that, you know, I was telling my girlfriend this too when my dad was sick, right? Yeah. And she was like, babe, it's okay. Like, you can cry about this. I was like, nope, not right now, right?
Yeah.
I knew it was going to come, but I had to stay strong to walk through the situations, right? Mm-hmm. I'm a firm believer that it's okay for us as men to cry, but I also feel like personally that like it's got to be the right time and place. Yeah. You know, so like when I was in the hospital with my dad and my brother, like we cried, we smiled, we cried, like the crying came and left. We made sure, like we literally stayed in the hotel, or not the hotel, hospital. We stayed the night in the hospital with him, his last night. My brother and I got little futons. They brought us little chairs in because he was, you know, they were like it's any moment now.
Yeah.
So we stayed there. They let us stay at the hospital. And me and him like stayed up hella late, like just talking, like telling life stories. Like, remember this time, remember that time. They say your hearing is the last thing to go, right? So although he could no longer talk, he was unconscious. He was just in the bed next to us. Like he was hearing us talk the whole time. And we were just talking about all these stories, and we just kept telling him we love him and all this stuff, right? And then when he passed, we cried, you know? Then after that, time to go. We did the necessary arrangements, drove home. I got home. My family's all there. For me, I mean, my girlfriend was like, it's okay if you cry in front of the boys. I'm like, I know, but right now I won't, you know, that's just, you know, like her whole family was there, you know, her brother was there, her niece was there, her mom was there, her dad was there, and then the kids, the two boys. And then my brother came with me. So it was like it was right before Christmas, 3 days before Christmas. So it was kind of like, yeah, he passed 3 days before Christmas. We didn't come back for Christmas, and we didn't want to be like all depressed and everything, you know, so we just came back and just did the family thing and everything. But you know what? Every night, when I crawled in bed and the lights were off, I just curled up with my girl and I cried. And I let it out. And then the next morning I got up and I spent about a week grieving, right? And I was starting to feel better. You know, I didn't work out. I didn't really eat the way I usually eat. Like, wasn't on top of my shit, but I was giving myself some grace. Like, this is okay right now. Like, you're super consistent all the time, bro. You can give yourself like a week or two off, you know?
Yeah.
And then I woke up one morning and I was like, all right, I'm done. My hair was like hella long. I needed to shave. Like I just felt, you know, I was like, all right, I'm done with this shit. Like time to get back to the grind. Grabbed the clippers out, went to the garage, shaved my head, did a bunch of burpees, you know, just got back in motion. And then like since then, like I've been progressively just, you know, the emotions still come up, but now I work through them. I deal with them, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I know for me, I didn't really give myself that out the way that you did, you know, which in hindsight, I probably should have. You know, because I know I was more worried about, like when my mom passed, I was more worried about, okay, like let me make sure my dad's straight, you know, and then like what we talked about, like how it's been like an ongoing battle, you know, and then what I'm having, I'm at a crosshairs, right, where I'm watching some of my family like, grieve at the funeral, right, and some of them are just sobbing, you know, and like we said, everyone grieves differently. You know what I mean? But then it would make me, I would get a little upset sometimes too that I'm the youngest of like a specific like group of my family, you know? Yet me and my sister were some of the ones that were there when shit hits the fan and when helping, you know, as opposed to other family members that are older that probably should have stepped up and been that person, you know, and then they're like weeping and stuff like that. And I'm like a little envious and a little bit like upset where I'm like, bro, like I shouldn't be the one that has to be strong right now, but I am. And you get to be over here like just weeping, you know, but on the other hand of that, I'm like, good for fucking you, because at least you're actually getting to be in your emotions. Like one of my aunts, she was crying. I was like, let it out. And then by the end, she was doing her thing, and we said our goodbyes, and she's like, I feel a lot better now. She looked at me and she's like, thank you, I feel a lot better now. I was like, good. Like, I'm glad like you get to feel those things. And then I look at myself and I'm like, fuck. Like I wish I could be like that, you know? And I just feel like I've gotten so numb to it all, you know? And so I'm trying to figure out right now, like, what a good balance is for that, you know what I mean? Because like you said about being able to, at night, just turn it off and it's okay, you know? And then coming back to handle, you know what I mean? I'm trying to figure out, like, that balance for me, you know?
I think it's a process. It's different for everybody. Yeah. I don't think there's a direct answer to that, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm not looking for an answer. I just like just two guys having a fucking conversation. Yeah. You know what I mean? But bringing it back, I am kind of curious, right? Because we talked about a lot of dope shit. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's been a good conversation for sure.
It has been. Like this, believe it or not, bro, this is I've took a lot from this, bro. Like like when you leave, I'm gonna just sit here and just soak all this knowledge in. And this is another reason why I was like, bro, I don't know what I'm gonna get from you, but coming in, I had a feeling of uneasiness. I'm like, damn, this is gonna be a good fucking conversation, you know? Because I was like, I want to get as much out of you as I can, you know, and learn from you, and just get so much shit. And like you said earlier, like we don't know what people are gonna take from this, but I know that people are gonna take something
absolutely
from this. You know what I mean? But okay, bringing it back to like your fitness coaching and stuff like that and everything. So what I want you to talk a little bit, because I listened to it, but I want them to talk to hear a little bit about you doing specifically online coaching, right? Because remember that conversation you had and you were talking about all of like your time and being in a prison.
Yeah,
that was interesting. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So to kind of like give some foundation to it, right? Yeah. So when I got out of prison, I was like super like direct on what I wanted to do. Fitness coaching is what I was going after. I've been doing it in prison. I knew all this information. I just need to get certified to do it. So my first job was group fitness instructor at Orange Theory Fitness. Mm-hmm. So I worked there for in total about 3 years. But during those 3 years when I worked there, the pandemic happened. Mm-hmm. So gym shut down, we shut down, and I'm not one to just kind of just be idle and just sit on my hands. Yeah. So I actually went online, found out how to establish an LLC. I made an LLC, a Better You Fitness. Mm-hmm. So I made my LLC. And I started off by doing boot camps at parks for $10 a person. And people would come to my boot camps, and I did Zoom workouts as well from my living room. And then from there, I started doing one-on-one at the park around the corner from my house, and people would come, and I'd bring weights out there and kettlebells. I bought a few things on Amazon, and then I went from there. I got a house. I moved into a house with a friend of mine, and he had some gym equipment. I had my gym equipment, so we put a tent in the backyard, and then I would train people at the house. And then went and got my own place. Like I progressively went from living in a sober living house, which is like a halfway house, to living with my aunt, to living with my friend, to get my own spot. Right, so I was training people in my backyard, and this is still during the pandemic, so people were being weird. And I had a tent in my backyard, and I was training people. And someone in my neighborhood, one of my neighbors, complained to the city of Hayward and was like, "Oh, he's got a tent." So they came and made me take the tent down. Uh-huh. So I told my landlord what happened, and then moved into the garage. I was training people in the garage, and then from there, I opened up my own facility. Uh-huh. So I opened my own facility about almost 2 years ago, about 22 months ago. Good for you, bro. 22 months ago, I opened my own facility. It's a small space, 550 square feet. Yeah. Personal training facility. It's not a gym. I don't like using the term gym because it's just for training people. I train clients one-on-one there, or I do small groups 4-on-1. And so what happened, the world starts opening up. I open this facility, and I'm training Orange Theory at the same time. And so I'm building this gym. I'm building my dream while working at Orange Theory. So I'm going to Orange Theory. I'm coaching a 5 a.m. class, a 6:15, a 7:30, a 9 a.m., and a noon, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm there basically from 4:30 till about 1:30.
Yeah.
And then I'm leaving, going straight to my gym for my clients at 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah.
Right? While still building the gym.
Yeah.
Right. So what ends up, and then when I leave Orange Theory, I get clients in the morning. And so what happened is I found myself in my facility from like 5 o'clock in the morning till 8 or 9 o'clock at night.
Oh, shit.
And I became aware that I had trapped myself in another prison.
Metaphorically, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, seriously. I mean, that was like a prison to me. Like 4 walls, I'm trapped in here.
Yeah.
Right. And I started to dislike what I was doing. I love training people. I love helping people. I love when my clients hop on the scale and they lost 10, 15, 20 pounds. I love even more when they come in and they feel good. I love when my client Charity went and quit her job and got a better job. You know, I love when my client Pam comes in and she can lift heavier weights, or my client Jen comes in and she's lost weight. You know, I love when, any of my clients come in, but those are just a few of the ones I'm working with right now. You know, my client Dennis just comes consistently and he's just feeling better about himself and just making smarter moves in life. You know, I love when my clients are seeing results. What ended up happening is I didn't like when my clients would come. I'm like, fuck, I don't want to train this person. It's not that I dislike that person. It's that I've been here since 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. I'm tired. Yeah. I'm burnt out. I was burning myself out. Not to mention, I've got a beautiful girlfriend and 2 beautiful stepsons that I love with all my heart. And I'm not there. I'm leaving before they get up. And I'm coming home to say goodnight to them.
Yeah.
You know? And then I was there maybe a little bit on the weekends, you know, but even then, as an entrepreneur, like when you own a business, it's not just, well, people don't realize when you're an entrepreneur, when you're a business owner to begin with, the hours that you're working doesn't mean that's all you're doing for the business.
Yeah.
You know, so I got 8 clients in one day. That's 8 hours on top of, I still got to run the business. I got to do the books. I got to order stuff. I got to clean. I got to, do social media, marketing, campaigns, build workout plans. There's so much more that goes into it.
Yeah.
So now I'm putting 12 to 14 hour days in, burning myself out and not spending no time with my family. And so I got to a point where I was doing a little bit of online stuff, and I've done online before. During the pandemic, I did online, you know, but it was so different than what it was now. Yeah. And I got to a point, I've been listening to this online fitness coach talk about his program and talk about what he does. I've been listening to his podcast and just loved everything he was doing. And I was like, so the end of 2022, December 2022, I hit him up like, hey man, I want to join your coaching program, but I want to wait till January because of taxes. He goes, all right, let's get you started in January. So January, boom, I paid him. And then I worked with him all last year. And I basically transitioned about 95% online, right? So I still have about 5 in-person clients. I still have my facility because I have a lease till the end of April. Yeah. But what I've done is I brought in a boxing coach. So now he's training his clients using my facility and helping me with the rent. Yeah. Right. He's also I'm helping him build his business. So he's using my facility and he's paying me as well to be his business coach. I'm teaching him how to build his business, how to market himself, how to make more money off what he does. Yeah. Right. So now I'm able to support someone. He's got my facility. I'm only there a couple times a week. I got a couple clients come see me at my house. But other than that, online is where I'm at. Yeah. I've got over 20 clients online where I'm able to train people all across the country. I've got a client in New York. I've got a client in St. Louis. And I've got most of my clients are all over the Bay Area or Northern California.
Damn, bro. That's so what services do you offer with the online coaching? Yeah,
so with the online coaching, I offer fully customized workout plans, fully customized nutrition, both meal plans and macro tracking, mindset coaching, and a private Facebook group where we support each other, love each other, and just educate them as well.
That's dope, bro.
Yeah, so it's awesome because like honestly, I can support my clients no matter what they got going on. My client Courtney, she just broke her foot. You know?
Fuck.
What we did, we changed her workout. Yeah. She said, yo, coach, I broke my foot. Can you get on a call? We hopped on a call. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, this is what happened. All right, cool. Within the next 2 days, I'll have a full upper body core workout set up for you. And then you'll just focus on your nutrition. And then when you're out of your boot and your foot's better, we'll start training.
Anyways. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, and then we'll just start strengthening your foot and get you back in motion.
So I'm curious, would you ever think about just being a life coach? Or do you still want to stay in the lane of fitness?
So I want to stay in the lane. So I would say I don't even consider myself 100% a fitness coach, right? But I use that as the premise, right? Most of my coaching is mindset coaching, is life coaching.
Yeah.
Right? Like I do Zoom calls 1 to 2 times per week. Like I have a set Zoom call on Tuesdays, and then on Thursdays I've been doing a master class with this amazing woman that comes in, and she works with a lot of moms, right? And so she just brings in her input, her values, and she's, I've got her set up for like a 6-week series that we're doing right now. But my coaching calls are all about mindset stuff. Right? It's not really about, like, I think I did one recently about meal prep ideas. Once in a blue moon, we'll do like macros or protein, or most of my coaching calls are like mindset shifts, motivation, Q&A. Like, how can I support you? With my one-on-one clients, none of them get on a call with me to talk about fitness. All of them get on a call to talk about their life.
Really?
I have with my client Justin, we get on, we talk about building his business. I'm helping him build his business.
Yeah.
Right? My client Courtney, we got on, we talked about her foot, but then we also talked about, her sister getting married. Her sister just got married yesterday.
Random stuff.
Yeah, we talk about what they're struggling with, right? I show up and be support for what they're struggling with, and we find out how to get around that, but I also am a firm believer that fitness is the gateway to success, gateway to greatness, right? So if we can establish your fitness and your mindset at the same time, everything else will work out. And I'm also doing some business coaching, right? I have a couple clients for business coaching, and eventually what I would like to do is life, business, and fitness. So it's kind of an all-inclusive package. I'll help you get your body, your mind, and your bank account right.
Yeah. Have you ever found that it gets difficult coaching women about, like, do they ever have like mom problems, but like you're not a mom? So it's like, do you ever find it difficult to give them advices or no?
I don't find it difficult because even mom problems are still problems. Yeah. Right. And I've worked with enough moms and enough women to have figured things out. This is what worked for my 10 other clients. It could probably work for you. Try it. Let's see. If it doesn't work, the best thing about having a coach is the ability to change things up. It's easy to Google how to lose weight as a mom, right? But if I tell you this is how you lose weight as a mom and it doesn't work for you, we can adjust it and change it. If we can adjust it and change it, guess what? It might work for you.
Okay.
Did
it help bringing that lady in that helps with the coaching? That one lady that you were talking about?
Well, I'm just doing, what we're doing with her is like master classes.
What is that?
Right. Basically just an extra bonus class, just bringing in a professional. And I do that quite often with my coaching program. Really? I build these connections and I find other people that have valuable information. Like, I'm not a professional when it comes, like, I don't know all the information about menopause or post-menopause or perimenopause and all this, but I know other coaches that do. So if I brought one on for a coaching call with my clients, we're like, hey, today we're going to have a call about menopause. And I bring up someone that specializes in menopause on, guess what? I just brought more value to my clients, right? I brought them someone that could bring them value. And this is because of the connection I created with someone else through a podcast or through an event, through a conference. Yeah. So if I'm building my network, not only am I building a network for myself to help me move my needle forward in my life, but it can also be utilized to help other people too. Yeah. Like, for example, going to all these podcasts, my client Justin, who's also a really good friend of mine, who's lost like almost 40 pounds with me, he's getting ripped. Now we're really building some muscle on him. He does motivational speaking and he does mindset coaching, right? He wants to get on more podcasts. The last podcast I was just on, I connected him with. I'm going to connect him with you as well. Like, building these connections, and then you get another guest. He gets himself on some more shows, right? You'll get value from him. He'll get value from you.
It's like a domino effect.
Nothing out of it, but the great feeling about I got 2 amazing people and connected them. Yeah. So I do the same with my coaching program too, right? I meet these coaches that specialize in different areas that maybe I know some of the information. Back to your question, what if they have mom issues? Well, what if I have a friend coach that's a mom that is super ripped? Hey man, how do you deal with this? Yeah. Or maybe you'll come do a call with us, right? Okay. And then this mom comes on with a 6-pack and jacked arms, like, oh yeah, I'm a mom too. I got 17 kids and look how ripped I am. 17 is a little much, but you know what I'm saying? Like, so it shows them it can be done. Yeah,
that makes sense. Do you ever find it like taxing? Because I know, like, when I was in college, I would talk to my professor about being a therapist. That's what I originally wanted to go for. And he's like learning how to like decompress and disassociate yourself from your work to this. Do you ever find it being heavy, getting all these people's problems, and they're just putting it on you, or no?
Not really.
No,
not yet at least.
not yet
at least. But I also feel like to an extent, the problems that they share with me are not like they're super deep problems. At least not yet.
Valid. Yeah.
No,
that's true.
So it's more like, oh man, I'm having trouble sleeping because I'm frustrated about this and that. And we can kind of talk through that and kind of figure it out. But it's not like with a therapist. Like,
they get some deep shit.
Yeah, I go to therapy too. So when I go.
How is that for you? I want to go to therapy, Loki. How is it for you?
I started about 4 weeks ago and I love it.
Really?
I'm so grateful for my therapist. She's so amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I've done therapy before and I've had mixed feelings on it.
Yeah.
I did therapy as a kid. I was put in therapy as a kid and they put me on medication. And
shit.
So now I'm like, I'm not going to do ever. I don't judge people that are on medication, but that ain't for me.
Yeah, I feel you.
And then when I got out of prison, I was seeing a therapist through parole and she was amazing. And then I went to another therapist and he was amazing. And then I stopped going to therapy because I was just busy with everything else.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm always striving to become the best version of myself.
Yeah.
So if I know I work out every single day and I read every single day and I run multiple times a week and I pray every single day and I meditate every single day and I do martial arts every single day and I talk to my clients and my family and my friends every single day and I do all these different things, all this visualization and vision board and mindset tactics and I know that's all working. What if I added one more thing? What if I added therapy? What is spending 1 hour a week working on myself a little more could make things better? Mm-hmm. No, I'm far from perfect. I still make mistakes. I still have these old belief systems that come up from time to time where I'm like, damn, that doesn't seem right. That's not who I want to be today, but that thought process came up, So I started seeing this therapist about 4 weeks ago. And since then, like, man, I've had a lot of aha moments, and I'll just kind of speak on one that just happened kind of so you can kind of see how it is for me, right? So when I was in prison, right, I was selling drugs and all this stuff. And so I always had food or soups or coffee. I always had stuff. And when I stopped selling drugs, I didn't have nothing no more. Mm-hmm. And so I would get on these calls with my brother and I'd be talking to my little brother. And one time I was talking to him, he's like, hey man, do you want to get a package? I'm going to get you a package. People can order you stuff, Yeah. I was like, no, I'm cool. He's like, oh, no, man, I want to get you a package. I was like, no, I'm cool, man. He goes, no, man, I want to get you a package because I can hear that you're actually changing, right? Mm-hmm. He knew I wasn't going to, like, I used to ask him for packages so I can go get drugs. Mm-hmm. And he knew that. I used to tell him, like, oh, man, I'm so hungry. Can you send me money? But, bro, I just sent you money. Like, yeah, man, but I ate all that food already, or someone's birthday party, or, like, I'm making some bullshit to get more money, So he knew that at this point in time that I was actually changing. I was actually working on myself, right? And so I talked about this with my therapist just a few days ago on Friday. And she was like, oh, that's interesting. So your brother believed in you before you believed in you. I never thought about that. I was like, boom, like mind blown. Like, wow. Yeah. I literally like left there and went on Instagram, like did a shout out to my brother. And I called him later on, like, bro, I fucking love you so much. Like, because I never thought about that. Right? Because at that point in my time, I didn't want to ask for anything because I didn't believe I was actually changing it. Like I was doing the work, but I didn't see the change. It's not like I looked at me like, damn, bro, you're killing it.
Yeah.
But just being on a phone call, on a prison phone, talking to my brother, and he's like, bro, I'm going to get you a package so I can hear just my voice, my words, the things I was saying.
Yeah.
He could hear the change. He believed in me at that moment, and I had not yet believed in myself.
Yeah. Because damn. That's actually dope as fuck. Yeah. That makes me want to like actually go, because for me, I know I'm like, well, there's so much shit that's happening to me. Like, where do I start? Like, what do I even talk to them about?
Just a little bit at a time, bro.
Yeah.
Like they literally like we walked in there my first session and she's like, hey, I've got these questions and we'll just start moving through these questions. I want to get to know you. I want you to get to know me. Stop asking me questions along the way. Like, let's just figure this out.
Okay. Right? So like that's how your therapist did it. Like they had like a questionnaire for your first time or something.
So we're still on the questionnaire.
Oh, bro.
Like 4 sessions in, and this was brought up about my brother because she's like, okay, so one of the questions and what she'll do is she'll ask me the question. We'll start talking and just see what naturally comes out. And she'll just pull little things out. Right? Yeah. And I'll say something. She's like, oh, so you just said this about your mom. Like, can you tell me more about that? And I'll start talking a little bit more about my mom. And like, it's just like this thing with my brother, She like the question was, the question that where we were working through on Friday was, can you tell me about, she basically like, hey, so I want to, still getting to know your family dynamic. Can you tell me about like some people in your life that are important to you? Right? So I started with my mom and then my dad, because my mom, super important. Then my dad just recently passed away because it's kind of fresh in my mind. Yeah. And then my brother, right? I even got to my girlfriend and my stepsons, that'll be the next Friday, because they're super important to me too. Yeah. But just talking about like that, and then talking about my brother, and like sharing things, and that one story came up, and I shared that story with her that I just shared with you, and then she realized and helped me figure out that my brother believed in me before I believed in myself. Right? And now I believe in myself so much, like there's nothing can stop me. I don't believe I can be stopped. Yeah. Only thing that stopped me is a semi truck. Yeah. Like that's the only thing. That motherfucker better be going fast because I'm like type shit, so it's like, wow, and I didn't even think about that. Like there was a point in my, like right now I don't believe like anything can stop me. But there was a point in my life where I believe I wasn't changing at all. And now I'm just like, fuck, every day I wake up better. You know?
That's badass. Then because I know for me that's how like what we're talking about right now, that's how I would like to move the pod, because like I had like little notes, like little just things to like bring up, but for the most part I like to just have you just sit down and we just talk, like we just figure it out, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because I know sometimes for some pods it's I ask you a question, you answer it, and we don't even get to dive deep in it. It's like, okay, sick, next question. You know what I mean? Like I want to just get everything out of you. Like I know one time I had this restaurant owner, and I saw a pod that he did recently. It was just strictly about his work, about his restaurant, but then there was so much that you could unpack with it, but then he already answered the question, so it was okay, fuck it, next question. So for me and him, we just started talking about stuff, and then next thing you know, an hour and a half went by, and we barely talked about his restaurant. It was just like having conversation, and he's like, you know what, bro, I really enjoy just fucking sitting down and talking man to man, you know what I mean? And I was like, fuck yeah. So that's why like with this one, I was like, I have little things, just to kind of steer us, you know what I mean? But I was like, I'm enjoying all of the just the random gems that you be dropping, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I love it. And it's cool because this, my second podcast today, and I was just in Tracy, and the podcast there, like I talked a lot about prison, like I talked a lot about my life and a lot of prison stuff, and like most of that podcast was about my troubled upbringing and like really in depth from juvenile hall to jail to prison, and and then like we touched on my changes since I've been out, and now the amazing things I'm doing now, and the things I'm going to be doing as I continue to progress. Whereas today we've kind of bounced around talking about different topics, right? And what's great about that is because, like, for me, wanting to get on as many podcasts as I possibly can and as many stages as I possibly can, once again, the goal is to help one person every day. So if I'm now on, like, this is probably like my 22nd podcast, maybe, plus my own podcast. So, like, maybe I'm on like 50 podcasts almost now in total, and then if someone listens to those every day, like, there's 50 people I can help, like, and it just bounces around and gives more impact.
Yeah. Because I know definitely when I like this, like you kind of hit me, like, and you told me like, oh, I know it's kind of last minute. Usually I like to like dive in to get all of to see what you've already talked about, to see like, okay, talk about that, but then the little nooks and crannies that you might have not been able to talk about on your previous pods, And something I'm learning as a podcast host for me too is like life experiences, right? Mm-hmm. With that person that you were talking to earlier, they were, it said an old cop, right? It was like an ex-cop or something.
No, he's still a cop.
Oh, he's still a cop?
Yeah.
So like, you guys have a lot more bases to talk about with like incarceration and stuff like that. Me, I want to know all of those things. But for me, with having the 22-year-old life experience that I have, and knowing now like my kind of sheltered life, like I'm like, okay, these are kind of just questions I would like to know curiously, because my audience is relatively young. It's like from like 16 to like probably like late 20s, So I know I have a lot of people that are thinking just like me, that are like, oh, this is interesting, I never thought about this, but like, why this, why that? I know they might sound stupid, but I just like, they're just genuine questions that I want to know, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think any question is stupid though.
Okay, bet. I didn't want you to think like, what the fuck is this guy asking?
No. I mean, it's all relative, The goal is to impact. It's not like I'm not. There's a lot of people that go and get on podcasts for the specific reason of, I only work with moms, so I only want to get on podcasts that are for moms. Yeah, I want to help people. Like fitness for mom is my bread and butter. Speaking on stages for anyone relevant to the youth, that's my purpose, right? So how do I do that? Just keep talking.
Yeah. Do you ever get nervous when you do like your public speakings?
A little bit, but not really anymore.
No,
I'm kind of just like, so I went to this event last April, This is the first time I ever spoke on a stage. I've spoken in front of schools at the time, colleges, things like that, juvenile hall. And I went to this event. And when I went to the event, I got the chance to speak on stage. I wasn't a speaker there. I just answered a question properly, and he liked my answer, and he said, come on stage. There's over 750 people there. And I got on stage, and he gave me the microphone and let me talk. And I said, I'm Coach Paul, and I live a life that I shouldn't be alive today. I've overcome a drug addiction, homelessness. I did over a decade in prison, and now I want to help the youth by inspiring them with my story. And I said that in front of 750 people. And it wasn't as, like, when I do it now, when I go on stages now, it's a lot more smooth. Like when I do my event next Saturday, I got a whole speech. Like, it's not written out. I have a speech in my head, and I have bullet points that I'm going to touch on, and I know my authenticity and my story that are going to tie into it, right? So I have an idea of how it's going to go, right? But it's going to be more efficient because I've been practicing it. I've been doing it over and over and over. Yeah. This was the first time ever speaking on stage, and I just spoke from the heart. But I felt this is where I was meant to be. It was one of those moments where I was like, wow, this is what everything I've been through has prepared me to do something like this. Like when they say things like, oh, doesn't that, like, aren't you afraid? Or people have asked me if I'm afraid to go on stages. Like, sometimes I could get afraid, but then I remind myself, man, I did 10 years in prison. Right? What is there to be afraid of? What's going to happen? I'm going to go on the stage and a bunch of people are going to stab me because I put myself in that position in prison, right? I had people telling me straight, like, we're going to stab you and kill you. And I was like, all right. And I kept getting high. I didn't care. I wanted them to. So what am I supposed to be afraid of to get up on some stages for?
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of people make the mistake. Like, they don't tap into these situations or these experiences they've had as forms of strength. Yeah. And it's literally one of the things I'm going to do at my event is tell everyone to close their eyes and think about the hardest thing they've ever been through. And then remind them that they're here today, so they've overcome that. So anything else that comes after this, they can overcome too.
Facts. And that kind of touches back into what we were talking about perspective.
Yeah, perspective, yeah.
Because exactly. I know every time people ask me, like, how you doing today? My go-to thing is I woke up, so it can't be that bad, right? Yeah. Like, I tell people that. And then sometimes it's funny because you catch people like, yeah, no, you're right. Like, no shit. Because I feel like we all get so wrapped up in our lives that we just don't stop and, like, I'm fucking here. I woke up. There's some dudes that are vegetables right now in a hospital or can't speak, can't walk, and we're over here mad we didn't get our Starbucks order.
Yeah, right?
Type shit. You know what I mean?
My answer is always awesome. Even my therapist, she goes, when I go see her, she's like, how you doing? And I was like, I'm awesome. She's like, are you really awesome though? I know this is your thing, but are you really? Because now she knows, like, that's always my go-to response because I refuse to say anything else other than I'm awesome, right? My coach, one of my coaches, Brian Mark, he's got this, he says his response is always when people are like, well, how you doing today? He goes, it's the best day ever. It's the best day of my life. Yeah. This is the best day of my life. It's always his answer every time, right? Because for him, it's like, I woke up today. It was better than yesterday because this is another day alive. Right? It's the best day of my life. Why yesterday was the best day of my life until today. Now today's the best day of my life. Yeah. And then my other coach, Cole, he has this thing he was pointing out to us one of our coaching calls about perspective, right? And he was talking about how. So there's a guy walking. Wait, hold on. How was it? There's a guy. Okay, I got it.
No, you're good.
So
you're good.
The Lamborghini pulls up, and the guy in the Honda pulls up next to the Lamborghini. Yeah. He goes, damn, man, I wish I had a Lamborghini. Yeah. Then the guy on the bike rides by on his bike, like, damn, man, I wish I had a Honda. Yeah. Then the guy on the bus stop, like, man, I wish I had a bike. Yeah. Then the guy walking by is like, man, I wish I could afford the bus. And then it shows the guy in the hospital bed, like, man, I wish I could walk. Yeah. Perspective, like.
That's real as fuck.
Yeah, like, well, what is there really, like, are we doing that bad in this world? Like, come on, man.
Especially living in America. I mean, granted, like, you could put yourself into bad situations, but overall, this is a relatively decent country.
Yeah, and I think a lot of what happens to us is by choice too. I mean, there's all random things that happen, but a lot of it is by choice. I once had a conversation with someone who told me they couldn't afford my coaching program till we broke down her Uber Eats and found out she was spending more on Uber Eats than she would have spent to hire me as her coach. You know? Like people say this all the time. I see people all the time that say they, oh man, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. You have a Louis Vuitton backpack. You're not living paycheck to paycheck. You just spend it on a backpack that nobody cares about but you.
We got like an expensive ass fucking car for no
reason. You know, like, oh man, I don't live in paycheck. You're driving a Charger. You're you know,
like, what the fuck?
Your monthly car payment and your insurance together is almost $1,000. Like, nah, man, you're not living paycheck to paycheck. You're just choosing to you know, spend your money where you spend your money.
Yeah, no, that's real as fuck.
and then there are people, and I talk about this with my client, Dennis, all the time. There are people that are living paycheck to paycheck. That's all they have, and they're not spending extra money. And I'm not discrediting those people.
Yeah.
But I also find that those people also are spending time on activities that could move the needle forward, that could or could not move the needle forward.
Yeah.
Like, if you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're not happy with that, what can you do to change that? Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm getting a lot of hate right now because I've been doing all these posts about football, about fuck football. You know, like a lot of people are not liking my thought process behind football. Like, oh, this is how I relax at the end of the week. Cool. Then you shouldn't be upset that you're broke.
Damn.
You know?
Damn. That's real as fuck.
Like, you know. I'm sorry, but you know, I'd rather spend 3 hours. Like, what is today? The Super Bowl, right? Yeah. Man, I've been all over California. I left my house at 8:00 this morning. I'm not going to get home till almost 5:00 at night, so that I can be on 2 podcasts and share my story and impact the world. Why? Because that's important to me, right? So at the end of the day, when I go to bed, I'm not like, man, my life sucks. I'm like, no, my life is amazing. I was in Tracy for a podcast. I was in Las Palmas. I had a conversation with 2 great human beings today. I got to share some value. I got to get some value. You know?
That's right, man.
Go home to my beautiful girlfriend. Like, life is good, man.
You're
life is
blessed.
really good, you know?
Yeah.
5.5 years ago, I had a backpack with some clothes and $200.
That's real as fuck. That's what I felt about today. Because I was talking, they're like, Super Bowl. I'm like, I don't even fucking like football. I was like, the only reason I'm gonna go watch the Super Bowl is because my dad's alone at his house, so I'm gonna go after. But I'm like, bruh, I haven't watched a single fucking football game this year. I don't care about this. I'm like, bro, this is a dope ass dude. I'm gonna go. We're gonna sit down. We're gonna have a cool ass conversation, and then I'm gonna go do whatever I'm talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, fuck yeah. But okay, really quick to the closing statement. If you could leave one quote or one statement or just one piece of message to the world, what would it be?
Be better than you were yesterday. Keep that shit simple. Just be better than you were yesterday. That's it.
That's badass, bro.
Right? If I at the end of the night, before I close my eyes, if I ask myself, was I better today than I was yesterday? And the answer is yes. It was a successful day. Just do that every day and it adds up.
Hell yeah, man. Paul Casey, thank you for coming on, man.
Appreciate you, bro. This has been great.
Take care. Where can everyone find you, man?
Oh, yeah. So you can find it at the end.
My fucking thing, my bad. I just thought about that. I'm sorry, bro.
No, it's good. It's good. So you can find me at the_coach_Paul. That's THE_COACH_PAUL. The Coach Paul, because I'm the only Coach Paul that matters.
Facts.
Okay?
Bars.
The Coach Paul on Instagram, The Coach Paul on TikTok, The Coach Paul on YouTube, or Paul Casey on Facebook, LinkedIn, and the Becoming a Better You podcast on all streaming channels.
Yeah, y'all heard that here. I'll put that in the description for everything. But if you guys like that, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.